Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series 3-2 against Edmonton. Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action right here at 8 with a 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For the first time in the postseason, the Indiana Pacers are facing elimination after Oklahoma City's 120-109 victory in Game 5 of the NBA Final last night. Game 6 is set for Thursday night at 8:30 in Indiana. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan will step down at the end of his contract in 2026, and Brian Rolapp will be the new CEO. Rolapp previously served as the NFL's Chief Media and Business Officer. Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief as he pitched one inning, gave up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he will likely see the mound once a week, and he will be the leadoff hitter for those days that he starts. Adding innings depends on how he feels. The Bisons in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch is set for 6:45 with a 6:25 pregame. Over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Everything was neat. All the chairs were tucked in. It was fine. I didn't have to move anything, and I just walked through and came back. And then just now, I got up and walked around, did the same loop, and there were like 10 chairs as askew in there as I've ever seen. I don't understand. Like, what happened to those chairs?
It's Mike Schopp.
I don't know. What would make the most sense?
And the Bulldog.
I am shook by this. Honest to God, I do not understand what just happened.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Did you go down there during a break and move the chairs?
I've been doing it every day.
It was me all along. On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Why bury the lead? For those interested in my notebook, the last thing I looked at, or the first thing I looked at, which is the same, 68,888 Jell-O shots at Rocco's.
Ah, right. College World Series statistics from our betting analyst, Sam Paniatovich on Friday.
Yes. There was this maybe the total consumed last year at the College World Series?
That's right.
68,888 Jell-O shots. It's a lot of Jell-O, like you said.
Yeah. So, forget about the alcohol.
Forget about the alcohol.
That's a lot of Jell-O intake.
It's way too much Jell-O.
What am I in the hospital with my tonsils out? What's going on here? All the Jell-O.
You saved that, I think. How was this line ending?
I wasn't going to get there.
And you got the tonsils. That's good.
Yeah. Appendicitis is what popped into my head because that happens to be the thing I was most recently in the hospital with.
But that doesn't correlate with Jell-O.
No, that would not.
Tonsils.
Tonsils.
That's what they give you.
Yes.
I had my tonsils out.
Yep.
In second grade. I mean, I was just told that. I don't remember anymore, but I've been told that.
Yeah.
And they give you Jell-O, right?
Jell-O and some ice cream. And
ice cream.
Things that are easy on the... Yeah.
We have the College World Series on in here again today. Yesterday we got a no-hitter for the Trouble.
That was why I thought to turn it on. Let's see what happens today.
I used to care about this event.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was because it was in the days when something wasn't on all the time.
Yes.
Like in the 80s,
That's right.
this would be on, as it is now,
the afternoon,
weekday
afternoons.
afternoons.
The summer, right, yeah.
I got Mike Patrick's voice in my head for the College World Series, maybe. And, okay, here's something that's on when I get home from school.
It's live sports.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter is still in school, so there's still school, and somehow. And I would get home, and this would be on, and that was pretty cool. But it's now, I think the difference is there's something on always. There's always something on.
That's right.
International soccer was not a thing that I could watch on a regular basis as a kid. Of course, all the talk shows and all the replays, all the games that, I mean, any game that you want is just right there. Just have to go search for it. So I think that's the difference. It hasn't, I wonder if that's like been the saturation point. I wonder if that's an important part of people who might find their interest in sports waning. that it's just like too much.
Yeah.
Isn't that a thing in life where
Yes, no,
hard to get? Shouldn't sports go back to playing hard to get?
Maybe a little. Maybe a little. I do feel kind of soaked by the amount of stuff that's on. And I've said it this way many times over the years when we would talk about baseball specifically, that there being a game on every night means I watch less than I ever did. Because if there's a game on every night, it's very, very easy, I think, to just go, oh, well, I'll watch tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and something, friend call, whatever. You're going to be able to come up with a reason, especially in the spring and the summer.
Well, also it's not special,
right? That's it. Like it's not I don't need an appointment for it. I'm not going to look to see who's playing on the Saturday game of the week. As soon as the weekend TV listings would come out, I think maybe Thursday in the paper, there'd be a column on the left-hand side of the page you open. Like, so page 2 of the sports section would have the weekend like laid out for you. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, okay, what have I got 1 o'clock on NBC? And when there's a game all the time, I stopped doing that. And yeah, I know it might be counterintuitive to an extent, but
well, I don't know if it is.
I watch less because it's always there.
Yeah, it's ironic. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Is maybe I've thought about this before, probably, but just the fact that there are so many options,
yeah,
and it's just round the clock. It's maybe a reason. I don't mean this like professionally necessarily, but it's maybe a reason to just sort of let football have its month off.
Yeah.
Until I saw the updates at 3, it's about a minute. At about 3 o'clock and 45 seconds, I looked down at my notebook and I saw Jell-O shots. And, this is what we're watching. Actually, I used to care about this. Why don't I now? And, I had I had 3 or 4 football takes ready.
Well, it's early.
We'll get there. Right. Professionally, I don't think I really want to risk taking the time off.
No, I know.
From the Bills.
But I know what you mean. There is enough other stuff, but it's a little complicated. Like the more available stuff is, the less special it is. And if it's less special, even the games that you might choose to watch, like I still will. This time of the year, I sit outside for a little while after we get home. But eventually, 7:30, say 7:45, I'm going to get in front of the TV, and I'll turn a ball game on. But I'm not really watching it. I'm playing the guitar. I'm fooling around on Twitter, catching up on stuff that I flagged through the day that I want to read that I didn't feel like I had time to devote my brain power to then. So sort of catch up. And so it's on, which is fine. I mean, it's a regular season baseball game. It's 1 out of 162. I don't need to be watching it. But even when I choose to watch, I'm hardly watching.
Yeah, I like that. Like last night I did that with Angels-Yankees. It was just on in the background.
Yeah.
I liked having it on in the background. And when something happened, I looked up.
Yeah.
But it isn't, I don't know, this is a different point, right? But it isn't like, some people are just going to sit there and stare at it and devote their full attention to it, right. And that's great. That's why it's on, right? Because enough people have turned it on. For me, it's better as background. But totally, like I think there's a human logical correlation. The more of it, the more available something is to you, the less interested you might become in that thing, at least eventually.
Especially if it's a with baseball, like hockey. I mean, I will do other stuff while watching a Sabres game. And even these Stanley Cup Finals games, not dissimilar at all from what I just described watching a baseball game last night. But it is especially more prevalent for me if I don't have a dog in the race. Like I don't have a team. We don't have a baseball team. We've got a AAA team. So I'm going to get home and turn on a Major League Baseball game, and like somebody, a pitcher schemes Pittsburgh, that comes into my house. Okay, I'm going to turn that on, but I'm not affiliated. Like I don't have a jersey. I'm not a fan. I'm a baseball fan. I'm not a Pirates fan. I'm not a Yankees fan. So it's a lot easier to be more casual about that than it is, say, with the Bills or the Sabres. And a part of that for me is professional, because I want to watch a Sabres game and hopefully notice things that I can bring to the show. If it's needed, if it comes up, that's how I want to treat that. So that even rises to a different level than regular season baseball games, because we don't have a team. Like I'm not ready for our.
You're
Angels,
not taking notes.
Our Angels segment.
You're not taking notes.
Right.
Yep. Well, anyway, Yankees Red Sox over the weekend. I watched the game Friday night. I tweeted about the Judge home run in the ninth, and then a couple of replay reviews that took the fun, it took the joy out of it for me, and might have used the word important in quotes because it was supposed to be an important series, and just like. Not everything can be important. It comes down to how the word is defined. If everything is important, then nothing is.
Right.
And with hockey and with baseball, maybe it would be basketball too. It would make sense. There's not a lot of importance in it until the end, or in certain situations, it will be important because like the season is almost over and you need you're one game back or something like that. But otherwise. I just think we've learned, sports has changed, and we've learned a lot about what really isn't that big, like home field, and like just not as big a deal as we wanted it to be when they built the system, and all the wild card teams now. And I didn't mean to go into a commentary on that. But.
Interesting that you started there. I came across one of the things I was reading while I wasn't devoting my full attention to a baseball game yesterday before the basketball game started, was a piece in the New York Times about how with all the streaming, just how sports teams and leagues have sort of altered the relationship with their fans to such an extent that it just the connectivity, the common shared experience isn't even there. This piece I was a New York Times /Athletic piece that cited like the different blackout rules and all the different streaming services, and one sports bar in Iowa where the operators are on top of everything. They want to provide games for people that come to their place, but they don't even know, do I have that service? Am I blacked out on that? And like people get mad and leave. And what happens then? They stop coming, and your business suffers because you can't find the game. It's something that was it was one provider. I've got whatever service I've got. Here are the games. Okay, I'll pick one or 5, right? Now it's like, Apple TV on Friday nights, and it's Tuesday nights over here, and football is the same way, and it's all so just segmented that we're not all watching the same stuff anymore. And it's harder to get to the point where something rises to the level of appointment. Like, I need to see this. Everyone's going to be talking about blank. I want to be a part of that, whether I'm in high school trying to fit in or I'm at the job or whatever it is. And it's harder to do that because everything is just sort of kind of all over the place. I'm not saying, like, I don't know where to go find stuff, but plenty of times this summer when it's the basketball playoffs and the hockey playoffs, we're going, say, 4 series in each sport, trying to remember, like, okay, who's got the hockey game tonight? Is that on this app or that app? Where am I going? I'm going to get there, but it's way more challenging than it used to be to just turn the TV on and like go to the region in the guide has all the channels you're looking for, where the sports are going to be, and like there it is. And now like tonight's it's on Prime tonight. I got to go over there. It's just kind of annoying.
I haven't thought about that in the context of the sports bar, but it's reminding me of when I was helping out at 716 with the weekly schedule. I was doing that. Like part-time, I would recommend, here they've got that giant screen now, Southern Tier, the giant screen, and they can put it, they can be one game or it can be 6 or it can be different. And I'm not sure if it's different now, but like that's how it was then. And when I was, what is that, 2017? More? Is that longer ago? 10 years ago. I know everything's always seems like it's 10 years ago.
When's that Chief Eric Wood? The opening of the bar was 2014 season, I think.
Yeah, it's pre McDavid Eichel.
Yeah,
because the lottery, we watched the lottery from in there.
Anyway,
so yeah, like 10, 11 years ago, I loved that the people running the restaurant wanted it to be a place. One guy, my friend Dominic, he was insistent that the place be. It would not be a place where if you walked, kind of what you said, it would not be a place where if you walked in, it would be weird what was on.
Right.
Like, why isn't this, you'd want the hardcore sports fan to have his or her expectations met when they walked in the door, because they know it's this game right now. And so that was kind of my job, or I would help anyway. Like, this is what I would put, I'm a hardcore sports fan. This is what I would have on the screen at all times, like for the whole week. Mm-hmm. But there was never, or almost never, any alternative source. It would all just be DirecTV, or it'd all just be cable.
Right.
Like I would almost never. I don't know if I ever did. This is on the internet, so you got to figure. I don't know how to do it. You got to figure out yourself.
Yeah, that all was pre-streaming. Like I'm sure streaming existed, but it was not as mainstream as streaming has become now.
Yeah, I mean that was right now. I'm not sure I can think of any examples where I had to sort of in parentheses, all right, you got to call up this website or something.
Right.
It never really was about that. It's not really, that's not growing up. That's recent. That's still pretty recent.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, from a sports bar standpoint, how do you do it? From a consumer standpoint, we just, casually ourselves mention every once in a while, I'm not watching the Stanley Cup Finals. That's it. I'm not watching the finals. I'd like to, but I'm not going out for them. Don't care enough to do that. Other things in life to do, and I don't get them, so I'm out. And I did see, you saw again today, more from Richard Deitch on that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the article.
The ratings are down about 25% from last year when it was on ABC and ESPN.
And the reason is it's TNT.
Yeah. That's
fewer homes.
That's what they think,
right?
Yeah.
Why otherwise would it be
right
less popular this year? The series is just as good. The teams are the same.
And you had the Four Nations even to sort of boost the casuals. So I was stunned to find – I didn't realize there would be – I was not expecting that. But I guess, the way that story was written that I reposted today what was, the NHL sort of expected this to happen, but they took the money. Like they wanted the deal. They got the money from TNT and Turner and whatever, and so here we are. But they expected there to be a drop, and there is.
Football's best trait might be the sparsity of games. I mean, football runs no risk of the same sort of, you become numb almost. They don't run that risk. There will not be 3 Bills games in a week.
Right.
There are more games on holidays
different
and Thursdays
days of the week, right?
Maybe they're sort of pushing at the limits of that, but the teams are never going to play more often than they do, and maybe football is lucky for that.
I think so. I think that is still appointment television. Whereas if it worked differently, even the standalone days, sure they're giving you. A 1 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and an 8:30 window, say, on a holiday. Okay, that's one at a time. It's not if there were 3 games going at 1 o'clock and 3 like a Sunday often is, or almost always is. Then I think you could run into trouble. It would just be just too much. But they still do feel like even the weakest matchup is still okay, it's Thursday Night Football. I'm here.
I'm definitely that fan.
I'm gonna get eyes on it, and that has changed for me in the last few years. I used to kid around. Part of the reason I didn't want to, I shouldn't say kid around. I meant this. Part of the reason I didn't want to get heavily invested in fantasy is because I don't want a reason to feel like I need to watch Jacksonville, Arizona on Thursday night. If it's a lousy looking game with 2-9 teams, I don't want to put my energy into that. I'll do something else. But if I've got Kyler Murray or whatever, it's gambling, there's going to be another level of interest that didn't exist, So I don't like to artificially create that for myself. Although I think I often do now. Not so much with fantasy, but more just regular wagering.
This is funny. This is the second my podcast ADP chasing is Tuesday mornings, so this is 2 shows for me today, and both early on got to this same point. How you might not realize it, but it might be joyless. It might be.
Yeah.
You might not, if you feel like you're addicted to it, or like, boy, that's true of anything, but you feel like you have to watch because of fantasy,
right?
Then, well, that's not maybe healthy. I don't know what else I would do on that Thursday night.
Right.
Like your kids are in their 20s.
Right. I have nothing.
What are you doing?
I am untethered. Yeah. If it starts to feel more like have to than want to, that's that's not a place I want to be with something that's recreational.
No, right. That seems logical. Here's Mike with us. Hi, Mike.
Hey guys, how are we doing today?
Good, thank you.
I was just calling in. You're talking about getting the sports up on the screens in the sports bars. I was one of the managers at Woody's in Rochester back in the early 90s, and we had 2 huge satellite dishes on the actual roof of the building, and we had to try to tune in things from all over the country on the satellite dishes. It was that was quite a time to try to make everybody happy.
I would imagine you back in those days would have gotten coordinates or something that you had to set the thing to, right?
Yeah, you had to learn where you had to, what coordinates you had to put it on to get stations from different all over the country, and you'd get the raw satellite feeds. So sometimes you'd see the announcers between while the commercials were on. You'd see the announcers. And but we only had 2, so I could only get 2 out of town games. I had to rely on cable for everything else. So then there'd always be somebody who was mad that whatever they wanted to watch wasn't on.
Well, sure, I guess that's going to happen, but that's where you come in as the expert and be like, no, this is what we're doing. This is what the people want, according to me. Yeah, I mean that's way back, but I think back in that example, I would have not been mad. I would have been excited to go to a place that had I don't know, the Reds. Just because when am I going to get to watch them? Never. So that would have been fun.
But it does sort of play back into where we started, where now you don't have to go to a bar to do that. You probably, depending on, again, what services you have, you can find a lot of stuff. Although I don't know where, I really have not found out. I don't know where all the Major League Baseball games are housed right now. For years here, I had the ESPN Plus, and it was very much like hockey is during hockey season, where that's the place for, there's the odd NHL Network game or the other carrier game. But on a random Wednesday night in the NHL season, if there's 12 games, 10 of them are on ESPN Plus. I go find it there, and baseball was like that up until this year. There's not that you go and look at ESPN Plus on your smart device and click watch. And click the MLB icon. You're going to get Sunday night's game, whatever they are carrying Sunday night. That's it. There's nothing. There's Wednesday night. That's gone. And I don't know. I know Apple's got Friday night. I think you mentioned that the other day.
I think they have Mondays. I mean, that game. No, that was MLB. Maybe it's just Fridays.
But I don't know where. I imagine you could just buy a package through MLB.TV or something. Yeah. I don't know. But I'm used to having 10 baseball games to pick from on an average night, and now I've got whatever is being brought in on my Fubo stream.
Yankees, Cleveland, Pirates.
MLB Network.
MLB Network.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
What did I watch the Dodgers on last night after the Yankee game? MLB?
I would guess that's what
I watched one inning.
Yeah.
I guess I watched his entire outing as a pitcher, not even realizing it. Well, so there's that.
There was just some riffing. Yeah, I don't know what that really was.
Just another... It felt like a complaint. Is it a complaint? What was the original point? Not being as interested in the College World Series as I was 35 years ago? don't feel like that's complaining. But I do like when we talk about it because I think it's very relatable. And I don't think you have to be over 40 to be frustrated by it. I think anybody could be frustrated by it, especially, for different reasons, maybe younger people, affordability or whatever it is, like you just can't sort of cover all your bases as a fan. An older fan will be like, well, tough. I mean, that's how it's way better than it used to be. I mean, you get way more on your, set than you set, as the show ever sounded older than set, than you used to. But
it costs more than ever.
It costs more than ever, and it's also in and of itself frustrating to not know, like your last point, where to look. And that's I think a pretty common quote problem. 803-0550 for your calls. We'll talk NHL draft today. Scott Wheeler will join us and get some Bill stuff in here shortly. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over coaster. It's taking over, it's about time. Oh, oh, sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
I know Mahomes and the capabilities he has and how special he is. And yes, he wins, and he's arguably the clutchest quarterback I've ever seen. But also, because of his team, he's afforded to play a certain style sometimes that I would tell you Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen can't, right? He can throw a ball away on third down or first down, just go, I don't like it. I'm just going to put it here, and we'll be in 2nd and 10. My defense is really good. He'll keep us in the game. And because of that, that's not necessarily led itself to perfect quarterback play. Now, they win the game, and he knows how to play to win the game, and that's where this exercise is so hard. But I think if you broke it down game by game and you watched film with me, you'd go, yeah, I think, Chris, you're right. Burrow, Allen, and Lamar Jackson had a better year than Patrick Mahomes in the way he played last year.
Okay, Chris Sims, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. I think he ranked Jackson first on his list. I get emails from NBC, so I can't say I wouldn't have seen them. That's how I would have seen them. He ranked a lot of guys, like 50 guys.
Okay.
Something to do?
I don't think that is that being. I haven't seen reference to this on any of the platforms. Is that being? Is that a hot take? I feel like most people who watched football last year would be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like last year, I don't know about overall, like who's the best, but off last year, yeah, Mahomes had a very mid kind of year, and those other guys all played their butts off.
Well, I think even in that small clip, he's really kind of still saying both things. Performance, the luxury, the defense point, playing to win, whatever that actually means, those kinds of things. I think he might want to say Mahomes is the best. Somebody might want to say that and still have to concede the point about last year and these things that are mentioned there. You get to decide for yourself what you want to make it about. And if you want to put Mahomes fourth on a list because he didn't do things that other quarterbacks more often had to do, okay, do it that way. But you could also make an excuse for him because of that. He's not as likely maybe as other guys to get his team beat with a forced decision or something like that. You could give him credit for things that maybe Chris Sims is more critical of him for. You could do it either way. I feel I love a good sports debate, but best quarterback in the league right now is too hard. Like all four of those guys, I don't know if I want to put Burrow with the other three. I think last year statistically he could have been the MVP. He had the best numbers of the four guys, but his team had the worst season. And I think we know how that goes.
Right.
For me, he's not on the top level, and the other three guys are. And I think on a given day or a given year, you can rank them any way you want.
I mostly agree. I think Mahomes is not obviously the runner that Jackson and Allen are, but he's more of a runner than even Burrow is. Like Burrow just is not. That just does not really exist in his game. He is no real threat. I mean, can he move around and get out of there if he has to? Sure. I mean, he's not Drew Bledsoe necessarily, but he's closer to Bledsoe than he is to Allen or Mahomes, I would say, stylistically from a athletic profile standpoint. So that's always been kind of a ding on him for me. I like the. I'm conflicted about this because on one hand, as someone who wants to see the Bills have a year here where they can get the 1 seed and finally get over Mount Mahomes and Mount Reed and get all the way to the Super Bowl, I feel like I never go looking because I know I can't bet it here, but we talked a few weeks ago, maybe more than a month ago, about Mahomes and the MVP, and I just feel like that. If the odds are right, I might want to find a way to get somebody to do that for me because I just feel like there could be a year coming where with Rice back and Worthy maybe taking a step. I know there's concern about Kelsey's age. There really has been for a couple of years running now, but I feel like they're going to have really it's about Rice and maybe Worthy taking a step as much as anything because Rice was really nice for them in the back half of the 23 season. And I think with a full season of him and Worthy and Hollywood Brown back, that could be pretty hot. Like he could have like a return to form kind of year. And I mentioned, I think when talking about this, whenever that was a month ago, that voters, I think, will sort of turn. Like Jackson had a turn, Allen had a turn. Who's the best guy again? He's already won through. Oh, he threw for 4,800 yards and 40 touchdowns. Here you go. Like if he and that year to me is in the window for him. So I might like throwing a couple dollars on that.
You're going to have to find somebody or get in your car. Go to a place. I can ask my wife. She's in a state right now where maybe she could place bets for you. I think there have to be a lot of other questions first. Convincing her to download a FanDuel app and then put money in it. And then go talk her through how to find awards. Do we have you see awards anywhere? I'm not sure it's worth the trouble. Joe Burrow, all time in rushing attempts, 138th among quarterbacks, 225 rushing attempts in 69 games, 3.2. maybe per game. I wish...
And those are counting... Kneel downs would count in that too, right?
Kneel downs count. I wish they didn't.
Me too.
If they didn't, this would be cleaner. But Mike Clay had a stat today, just a random thing, that Allen, in all 7 years of his career, every time has ranked second among quarterbacks in rushing attempts from the 5-yard line and in. I can't find who was first every one of those years. StatHead, which I use for this stuff, does give you from the 10, but not from the 5. So I looked at some Allen stuff in this way over the years. In doing so, I had all players from inside the 10 at one point, and I did see that in 2019, from inside the 10, Frank Gore had 18 carries for 4 yards for the Bills. I don't remember that being so pathetically bad, but 18 carries from inside the 10 for Frank Gore in 2019 here, 4 yards. Allen, so Burrow, what'd I say, 130-something? Allen is 7th already all-time in rushes for a quarterback, and he'll be 5th by the beginning of October. He's 16 away from 5th, and right now he sits 7th. Aaron Rodgers is 8th.
He might pass that in 2 weeks, but surely comfortably by October. Sure,
it's probably going badly. I mean, what's the ideal number of Allen rushes in a game?
4.
Yeah, it's not 8.
No.
8 means you're in trouble.
8 means he's dropping back all the time and he's under duress and he's running. I think I feel like you're losing. You know, and so he's he's creating and doing whatever he can to try to mount a comeback. It is how that feels to me.
Again, especially if you can take out the kneel downs, because he could have 4 and then kneel out the game, and now it's 7.
Right.
And his average comes down. It doesn't feel like it should be a rushing stat. But, it is. So I'll look into that a little bit more. I'd like to know. Because it does feel like it's the playoffs where he's running 8 or 10 times. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, well, we need our best stuff, and that's it. But in week 1 or week 2, to that point about the stats, the totals, you don't want him running 9 times against the Ravens.
No. I think even as good as it can be, that's a sign that that he's had to do too much on his own.
No one's open.
Right. He's got to roll to his right, and now there's a lane, and he's just going to take off and try to hope for 12 yards or maybe more. Who knows? But it's not a good sign to me of a smoothly functional offense.
No one's open. Pass protection doesn't hold up. He gets out, and then the rushing attempts on scrambles start to pile up. Some career ranks, quarterbacks and rushing attempts. Allen, 7th, right behind Elway and Randall Cunningham. Those are the 2 players he should pass by the quarter point of the season, maybe. Aaron Rodgers is 8th. He's 20 years, so he's got that, versus Allen's 7. Mm-hmm. But, Rodgers was pretty good on his feet, so to speak.
Yep.
Not as much of that anymore. Brady is 10th, speaking of longevity. You don't picture him running very often. But
that's quarterback sneaks, because they were really great at that.
Right.
They weren't using the tush push. I don't think really even any real semblance of it, but he was a very effective quarterback sneak player. And then and kneel downs. I'll bet 80% of those rushing attempts are kneel downs and sneaks.
Maybe. Ryan Fitzpatrick is in the top 20. 19th. Tyrod Taylor is 50th. Still active.
Yeah.
Rushing attempts, career rushing attempts. Bledsoe is 58th. Not so bad. Right? For a guy who really couldn't run.
Right.
Not so bad. 58th all time. Like, what's that number? A few hundred. 385. One more than Archie Manning. So Archie Manning was a runner.
Scrambling maniac. Yeah.
Yes. Bledsoe was not a scrambling maniac.
No.
385 rushes, 100 first downs. They have success rate on here, too. That's pretty good. Success rate is a little bit of a tricky stat. If you get 40%, I think this is right, 40% of the yardage you need on first down, which will usually be 4 yards, because it's 1st and 10, usually, that's considered successful. A 4-yard run is a win on first down. Second down, it's a different number. Maybe it's 20%. And then 3rd and 4th down, you have to make it. Whatever the distance to go is, if you make it, that's successful. So that's kind of an interesting stat. Doug Flutie, runner, 77th on this list. So Bledsoe had way more. Well, I don't know, way more.
Well, but
a few dozen more
and more
rushing attempts.
Probably what?
Way more games.
10 times the amount of snaps than the guy like Flutie. I might guess. Flutie did not have. I mean, he was like a regular starter for 5 total years, maybe in the league. Yeah.
Not until it happened here and then San Diego.
Right.
Bledsoe had like triple the starts of Flutie. Who had more rushing attempts in their careers, Jim Kelly or Dan Marino?
I can't believe it would be Marino, but it has to be.
Kelly,
okay.
By 3.
The way you asked, I just had a feel like neither guy was, but I feel like Kelly was a little more athletic than Marino was.
Dan Marino's success rate on rushes, 6.7%. He was not running for 4 yards on first down for you.
No.
He would never.
No.
He's throwing that ball away. He's not going to get sacked.
That's right.
He's got a streak to keep going. He's got a streak to think about.
That Jeff Wright eventually will break.
Kelly, in 80 fewer starts, had 3 more rushes. I can picture the Kelly scramble. He'll get there. Mm-hmm. He's going to make it. Yes. I mean, he's not going to run that much, but he's going to make it. There's going to be a lane, folks. There's going to be a lane, right. And he will find it, and he'll get you that first down. 36% success rate for Kelly. So, fun stat, I guess.
That's pretty healthy, 36% for him.
Former Bill coming in at 200th, Case Keenum, by the way. Allen, so 7th all-time in carries, and as it turns out, thanks to Mike Clay, we know this, 2nd every year of his career in rushing attempts from inside the 5. I think that includes the 5, but literally, I guess it shouldn't. Inside the 5.
And that's all, not just quarterbacks.
Just quarterbacks.
Just quarterbacks. Okay, sorry, just wanted to clarify.
Yes, I didn't say it this time, did I? Right. Just quarterbacks. We will talk some hockey with Scott Wheeler coming up at 4, the finals and the upcoming draft, and the Sabres, of course. That's something to look forward to. We will look for your calls again at 803-0550 throughout the day. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
it ain't since so long. All the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night. Said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh.
On the road in Game 6. A playoff gem from Jalen Williams. Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers, a strong comeback, but the Thunder had the answer. It's 3-2. OKC in front here in the NBA Finals.
Mike Breen, Oklahoma City takes the lead back. Game 6 is August 8th. That bodes well for Halliburton.
Gotta let it breathe.
They moved it so that he could get better.
Give it some air. Everybody needs to take a break.
They say he has a calf strain.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
When is Game 6, actually? Not August?
Is it Thursday night?
I think Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida. Stuart Skinner in goal. I guess I would do that. I think I would do that.
Yeah.
Try the other guy. He lost.
I thought it was right to stick with Pickard after the Game 4 performance. Game 5. Yeah, you got to go back to Skinner for this Game 6. So they are.
Are you interested in Edmonton tonight? They've got of course, they're an underdog.
Yeah.
Are they a healthy underdog?
I don't know. I ran around a lot today, and I did not get around to looking. I will have time. Well, I mean, you're going to tell me right now, but I'll have time to look, between the show and the game, because the game doesn't start till like 8:20.
Plus 135, Edmonton. Over under 6.5. Pretty close to
what
even
is
split.
Florida on the minus 1.5?
Plus 154. Right. You like that more than the Oilers?
I don't know. I will sit with it when I get home. What I usually will do is build out something with with both options, right? One with the minus 1.5 and one with the underdog on the money line, and then just see where it gets me and which one I like more.
Conn Smythe right now is looking like what?
I was gonna Google that when I got here and I forgot, but I feel like if Marchand scores another goal tonight and it's a big one, I don't know. That's never happened. A guy that was acquired in season has never won the Conn Smythe for his team.
Has he been good enough throughout the playoffs? That was the point I thought about him when people were handicapping the Conn Smythe like a week ago.
Somebody like Travis Yost to tell you that line has been like he's been a difference maker all through. Like nobody can handle that third line.
Travis predicted it,
but he wasn't scoring like crazy until lately. So he might not be able to make up the ground. But I kind of like him as an idea.
Goalie can't win.
No,
Bennett could win.
Bennett, I think, has been the favorite. He's cooled off here a little bit, but he's been, I think, the guy in the drive from Florida's standpoint. I think he's the guy in the driver's seat. No, I don't think Bobrovsky has a look at it
tonight. if it ends tonight, it's either Marchand, Bennett, McDavid, Draisaitl in defeat 2 years in a row.
I have a very hard time seeing people who voted that way last year doing it 2 years in a row.
I agree. It feels like the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen discussion.
In the same series, same opponent. Like, I don't know, man.
But you need to have one
somebody
Panthers player,
elevate,
look superior. Like he's the one to pick. The voters may discuss it. What are you going to do here?
Right.
Maybe you wouldn't want it to end like that. That's kind of what you said. For an Oilers player to win.
Right.
So you sort of lean into the guy next to you like, what are you going to do here? Because, I don't know, would you be loath to do that? Would reporters not want to be
compare notes
accused of doing that?
Yeah,
or is it something where you could have an honest conversation with somebody? Like, what do you think? I feel like there should be some room for that.
Sure.
Maybe Scott Wheeler will have a take on that.
Yeah, I've never been a voter in something like that, so I have no idea what the protocols are. Like, while they're ready to fill out the ballot, they probably aren't comparing notes. But sitting around eating dinner before the game, maybe like, what do you think of it? What about this? What about that? And maybe you're listening to arguments.
For like the general election, you might just yell across the room, "Hey, who are you? Anybody have a suggestion who to vote for president here? Anybody got a thought? I'm still not sure." No, that would be silly.
Come sway me.
I do the the proper thing, which is just whichever. If I see a certain sign in too many yards, I vote against that person. Usually, I'll just do that, or actually do quote my own research and use my own brain to decide. It could go. Every year is different. Scott Wheeler coming up next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series against Edmonton 3-2. Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action right here at 8 with 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For the first time in the postseason, the Indiana Pacers are facing elimination after Oklahoma City's 120-109 victory in Game 5 of the NBA Final last night. Game 6 is set for Thursday night at 8:30 in Indiana. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan will step down at the end of his contract in 2026, and Brian Rolapp will be the new CEO. Rolapp previously served as the NFL's Chief Media and Business Officer. Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief as he pitched 1 inning, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he will likely see the mound once a week, and he will be the leadoff hitter for the days he's starting. Adding innings on depends on how he feels. The Bisons are in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch is set for 6:45 with a 6:25 pregame over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't love junior mints. I just don't hate them. I don't understand why they are treated like second-class candy.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Oh,
there's a
you don't
fantasy
understand why
team
a candy that is basically toothpaste wrapped up in stale chocolate is treated like a second-class candy. All right, I get it. It's a good, valid question.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Is there a time to change? You know, the 3 teams I've drafted this year, second-class candy is pretty good.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Bulldog, I did it. Cracklin' cap hits.
All right.
The draft is next Wednesday night. Look out. Cracklin' cap hits. Just, I don't know why I like it so much. It's a cereal, but cap hits? What are cap hits?
Still no room for pre-horse collar Grogan?
Nah. Too clunky. Yeah. Get your own teams. Scott Wheeler with us from The Athletic here on the West Her Hotline. This has been a long time for me. Bulldog maybe has had you on a couple times more recently, Scott, but looking forward to this. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, no sweat. Thanks for having me on, fellas. It's crunch time here.
Crunch time.
And you were just here, weren't you? We should have got you on while you were here, for crying out loud.
I was just in town for a long stay too. I was there for 5 or 6 days for the combine.
Excited to talk to you about the draft and the Sabres, but if you don't mind, Bulldog and I were talking a few minutes ago about the Conn Smythe Trophy and the voting. This could be the night, Game 6 of the finals. And I was wondering if voters, this might be a good question or a terrible one, if voters would talk to each other about their plans with the vote. Just thinking that there is the possibility that a player from the losing team will maybe win the vote for the second straight year. And I don't know, maybe certain voters would want that not to happen, but Florida doesn't really necessarily make for an easy choice. So if you had a vote, would you want to know what your colleagues were doing, or would you find that unethical, or what?
Well, I think there's talk in the press box on a nightly basis when you're covering games, and especially at the Cup final, even as the pool of reporters grows for the Cup final, the actual pool of reporters that vote on the Conn Smythe from the Cup final is pretty small. It's normally about a dozen people. They try to make it a mix of outlets, that it's not dominated by places like ESPN or The Athletic that have larger staffs. I know we normally have 3 or 4 people amongst that group of 12 are typically athletic reporters that have covered the Stanley Cup final from start to finish. You've normally got beat reporters that get priority, people like Daniel Nugent-Bowman, who covers the Oilers for us. And then you've obviously got national people who've been following it sort of all throughout, if you will, and a combination of people from the broadcasters. But I think naturally that you do a lot. as you guys know, having been around it, you stand around a lot in this industry. There's a
Right.
sort of running joke among sports journalists that it's a hurry up and wait industry where you're waiting for players in the locker room or you're waiting for press conferences to start. And there's a real fraternity that gets together for drinks after games. And I think it's one of the great things about the hockey world, if you will, is that it's a pretty tight-knit group of reporters. So I've never voted on the Conn Smythe, but I can imagine, having been in many bars with the people who do and in many press boxes with the people who do, that there's some chatter. I don't think people go out of the way to influence other people's votes, but I think there's naturally, it's a topic of conversation. It's the classic sort of morning at the office, around the cooler, whatever you want to call it, whatever cliche you want to use. I think there's a lot of that with the Conn Smythe every year, and particularly this year after McDavid won it on a losing team a year ago, which I think you were kind of alluding to there.
Well, yes.
I am of the opinion that you vote regardless of a year ago, but knowing some of my colleagues, I would expect that after the way that McDavid handled it a year ago, not really coming onto the ice, etc., that it would be pretty surprising for them 2 years in a row if they were to vote for McDavid. Frankly, and I don't know what language you're allowed to use on the radio here, but I think that's BS. I think you forget what happened a year ago, even if McDavid didn't love the idea of winning it, even if you voted for him a year ago and you believe that someone on the Florida Panthers should get a chance to win it when they've won the Stanley Cup twice. If McDavid's been the most impactful player in these playoffs and most valuable player to his team in these playoffs, I think it has to be him. Now, I think there's reasonable arguments to be made that it's Sam Bennett or Brad Marchand or one of the top Panthers. But I think if it goes to 7, even if they lose, if McDavid has a big game tonight and it goes to 7, the way that he and Leon Draisaitl have played, I think they have every bit as strong a case for the Conn Smythe as any of the Panthers do. And I would not be reluctant just because it happened a year ago to do it again. I think that's the wrong way to think about it.
All right, definitely respect that outlook there. Who would you? Do you mind telling us if you had a vote? Who might you vote for? Recognize that you're not like day to day covering the series. You're more on the prospect end of things here, obviously. But
yeah.
What would you do?
Yeah, we're still potentially 2 games away. I think if you had told me, sort of asked me today, not knowing what the result of the series will be, who the best player in these playoffs have been, I would probably go to Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid before I would go to Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand, who have been great and have been clutch. And we've heard the stats about Marchand being the first player to score, or the second player ever to score 5 goals in 2 different Cup finals. And obviously Bennett has set the record for most road goals in a Stanley Cup playoff run. And they've both had big moments. But on a night-to-night basis, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid draw all the attention of every team they play. The beauty of the Florida Panthers is their depth, and as a result, Brad Marchand on the third line and Sam Bennett don't draw the same amount of attention. They aren't required to lift as heavily as Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are, and I think those are the 2 best players in the world potentially right now. Certainly along with Nathan McKinnon, I think those are the 3 best players in the world. And I think they've been the 2 best players and the 2 most impactful players for their teams in these playoffs. So I would certainly if they win, it's got to be one of those 2. But even if they lose, I might still lean one of those 2.
Very good. Scott Wheeler of The Athletic with us. So the draft is in 10 days, June 27th. The Sabres pick 9th. I think this is the first year, is it not, where teams will not be present?
And I think the only year, because I think, Scott, they're going to swing back to a central draft location. This seemed maybe like a good idea in theory, but it seems like there's been a lot of pushback wishing they hadn't done it.
Yeah, there has. This is, I think, going to be a 1-in-1 decentralized draft. That for those who are unfamiliar, the NHL voted a couple of summers ago now to move towards a decentralized draft. A lot of it came out of Nashville and travel nightmares getting out of the draft in Nashville a couple of years ago, and just how close the NHL draft is in the calendar to free agency and the consequences of having general managers and assistant general managers stuck in airports while they should be preparing for free agency. So Part of what I think the next CBA will try to address is that gap, sort of moving the draft and free agency maybe a couple of days further apart to account for that. But I think part of what's going to happen after this year's unique draft, and it'll be in a theater in Los Angeles instead of an arena, it'll be just the top 50 players and their families, the actual staff from all of the NHL organizations that are typically on the draft floor will not be in attendance. And it's mostly going to be players and agents and their families rather than NHL team staff who will have remote setups in order to send their picks in, a lot like we see in the NFL and in the NBA. So they're trying it out. I don't think it's going to be a major success. And frankly, though they haven't said so publicly, I think they've already made the decision that they're going to go back to a centralized draft for next year.
All right. So the Sabres have the 9th pick. In general, Scott, I'll speak for myself and maybe many of our listeners. It's just like maybe about now starting to get acclimated, who's who and what might be best here in terms of strategy. What kind of draft is it? Is it above average, below average for like overall talent, or even just maybe top 10 with the Sabres sitting at 9?
It's a below-average draft. I've been on record throughout this season saying that this draft doesn't really get me excited. Now, in saying that, I think when people talk about the draft that way, it typically takes on a life of its own, and I actually find when people talk over and over, whether it's scouts or media, about a draft being a below-average draft, I actually find that the pendulum typically swings in terms of the groupthink about the draft. The pendulum typically swings too far, and as a result, poor drafts actually become undervalued. People are too eager to get rid of picks in bad drafts and too eager to sort of trade out of bad drafts or trade back in bad drafts. Where the Sabres are picking specifically, there are still going to be future stars either at their pick or in the pick shortly after theirs who go on to be top 6 forwards in the NHL, top 4 defensemen in the NHL. There's going to be Stanley Cup winners from this draft. That's just the way that the draft is. It plays out that way, even in a weaker draft class. And draft, I don't talk about it the way that I talked about 2012, for example, which will go down as one of the worst drafts in NHL history. But we've been spoiled the last couple of years, and this isn't 2024 or 2023, which I would qualify as excellent drafts. So at 9, there will be good players there. It's a very center-heavy draft. Typically, you talk to NHL scouts, 7 or 8 of their top 10 prospects in this draft are listed as centers. Now, some of those centers could end up on the wing in the NHL, but a center-heavy draft, a year after a draft that was stocked sort of full at the top with defensemen, this draft class is much lighter on defensemen at the draft after presumptive number 1 pick Matthew Schaefer, who is the premium prospect in this draft and one of the premium D prospects that we've seen in recent years. But certainly where the Sabres are drafting, there will be 1 or 2 defensemen in that range rather than the typical 3 or 4 defensemen in that range that teams consider, and there will be multiple centers in particular that are available to them there that they will have to mull over.
Do you have thoughts on guys that could be good fits considering what they've already got in the pipeline, or is that a flawed way to approach deciding who to pick?
I think that in an ideal world, the one thing that the Sabres would really like to add and inject into their pool is a sort of ultra-competitive type, a sort of physical, hard to play against. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a throwback, if you will. But you look at their pool right now, they've got a lot up front. They've got a lot of sort of 5'10", 5'11", 6-foot forwards who are sort of skilled finesse players, can make plays, read the game at a high level, some good skaters in that mix. But a lot of players who kind of look the same, whether it's Consta Helenius, Isak Rosen, Noah Östlund. It's just a collection of forward prospects in particular that kind of have started to feel really similar. I think that's a big reason why they traded Matt Savoy, who also had a little bit of that sort of look to him in terms of an undersized, skilled forward. Ironically, Matt Savoy was actually, I would argue, the most competitive, the hardest working of those players, although Noah Östlund gets very, very high grades for that as well. But they could use a little bit of jam in their pool, and there are two players in this draft who sort of fit that mold with emphasis. One of them is a center of the Sioux Greyhounds by the name of Brady Martin. Brady is a farm boy off the ice and a farm boy on the ice in terms of just that hard-working, get-after-it, physical, bowls guys over, hardest-hitting player in the draft, ultra-competitive center. I've kind of compared him throughout the course of this season to guys like Mike Richards, who've been sort of really the heart and soul centers of their organization. Sam Bennett, and we're seeing the impact that Sam Bennett is having on the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. I think those are two players that kind of feel a little bit like Brady Martin. Now, Brady is not likely to be there at 9. He was viewed as sort of a mid-first round pick coming into this year, but was a real riser over the course of the season because of his unique sort of DNA and his intensity, his motor. And I now expect that he'll go in the sort of 4 to 7 range directly in front of them. But there is another player who fits that mold who could and will likely be available to them there, and that's Keyshawn Aitchison. I'm not convinced they'll take Keyshawn Aitchison, but he would certainly check that box. Keyshawn is a defenseman rather than a center like Brady Martin, but plays the game with intensity, physical sort of imposition, knocks guys around, really strong, and also scored 30-plus goals as a defenseman in the OHL this year, which is very rare. Has a big point shot, likes to attack both offensively and defensively and sort of take charge of shifts. He comes with some mistakes, plays on instinct, and can make some mistakes out there, but sort of would add something to their pool that they maybe don't have. There are other players in that range that I think would be potential fits for them. They've got a very big blue line that they've built, obviously, in terms of length in Buffalo, and there's another of that variety in Radim Murtka of the Seattle Thunderbirds, 6'5", 6'6" defenseman who can really skate, would fit in nicely on a blue line that already has Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin and Matthias Samuelsson. And then there are a couple of other really interesting forwards. Roger McQueen of the Brandon Wheat Kings was marred by back injuries over the course of the last 2 seasons, but was viewed as a potential top 5 pick in this draft before the injury troubles. He's now going to go, I think, in that 9, 10, 11 range in this draft and could be a consideration for them. Big center with lots of skill, would also add something to their pool that they're maybe missing in terms of the size element. He's not the ultra competitor that a Brady Martin is, but a 6'5" center who's got legit skill and does not look like the 5'10", 5'11" types that they have in their forward group. So there's a good mix there that could be available to them, and a lot of players with some sort of really legit potential, if you will.
We've already touched on it, Scott. The some similarities in some of their higher end prospects that are already have played in Rochester. How do you feel about their pool overall? It feels like maybe the shine is starting to come off a little bit. Like they were very highly rated for a few years running, and now I'm getting the feel that maybe they're getting a little thin.
Yeah, it started to thin out a little bit. Some of that is just graduating Zach Benson and Yuri Kulich maybe a little bit earlier than people expected that those guys would graduate. Some of it is trading Matt Savoy for Ryan McLeod, which I think most of it has been parlayed into NHL players already. Some of it has been used to go and acquire a legit sort of top 9 NHL player in McLeod. And I still think there's more coming. Isak Rosén is the one who's tricky because he's starting to feel maybe like a bit of a quadruple A guy. And by quadruple A guy, I mean that sort of in between the AHL and the NHL. He's a high-end top 6 forward at the AHL level who can score on the power play and has speed and can really shoot the puck. But he doesn't likely fit in as a top 6 NHL player and might not fit in as a bottom 6 NHL player. So you start to wonder about where Rosén sort of fits into the future of the Sabres as they're also trying to get better and not have to rely so much on young players. Östlund is a player who I know they're very high on and they fully expect is going to be a part of their future moving forward here as a top 9 center. He's a natural center, could become a winger, but it plays with a defensive conscience despite not being the biggest or strongest kid. So there are some pieces there, even on the blue line. Vesivold Komarov, Nikita Novikov, 2 legit Russian defensemen who could be depth D for them moving forward here. They took Adam Kleber in the second round a year ago. Maxim Sturbach is a legit college player at Michigan State, who are one of the favorites sort of heading into this college hockey season. So there is still some depth coming, but they don't have the true top prospect. They don't have a Tage Thompson or a Rasmus Dahlin or an Owen Power coming.
Scott, in just 2 minutes or less here, as we've kept you a while already, can you believe the Sabres? I mean, this is 14 years without a playoff appearance. That's insane stuff. There probably isn't a short answer that you might have for or explanation for it, but I don't know. It doesn't necessarily feel like things are about to get better to me. We lost Scott. He almost dropped off a couple of times.
Right, then that was it.
Well, that'll have to go unanswered, and that's fine.
That's just how that goes sometimes. Yeah. All right.
Is there a Bulldog, though? Should I ask you? Is there a good explanation for the Sabres? I mean,
commitment.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's
that's it. That's the word, commitment. For whether it's starting right at the top and just rolling right through. I think that's what it is.
It was interesting, his answer on the Conn Smythe. I was ready to ask him the follow-up question about the idea, like, would a writer, would a voter necessarily mind or care that the winner was from the losing team twice in a row? Would it necessarily be something you'd want to avoid for whatever reason? He talked enough about that, but he did say that some voters might hold it against McDavid that last year he wasn't thrilled to win.
Right.
Well, so then we won't give you the prize.
Right.
That seems kind of petty.
Yeah, right.
And Scott said of himself he would not do it that way.
Right.
But, they're human, and they might feel like as sort of keepers of the award.
Yeah.
So if you don't want it, we'll give it to someone who does.
I would be surprised if they lost tonight, if McDavid or Draisaitl were given that award, got enough votes to win the award. I'm not saying people wouldn't vote for them, but I'd be surprised. And obviously a better likelihood if they push it to a Game 7 and lose like they did last year. But even then, I think they got to win the Cup for one of them to win it. I think I appreciate Scott's objectivity about it. I just feel like people that if the pool is similar enough to last year, I don't know that I would hold against McDavid that he was, upset because they lost and didn't come out for pictures or whatever happened there. But just the idea of awarding it to a player on the losing team 2 years in a row, I don't know that I would want to put my name on that.
It's a tough vote. McDavid was this much more above Draisaitl last year, I think. Like, he was the choice last year, and it's not that right now. I would vote for Draisaitl before McDavid, like right now. So Edmonton is split. And Florida is split, so it could be, I don't know, they have ties?
I don't think that's ever happened.
And he said it's a pretty small number of people that do vote. I think he said 12, something like that.
I was surprised about that, too.
It could end up tied. I don't know what happens then. I know I won't be able to watch the game because I don't have the channel that it's on.
The tie goes to the runner.
The tie goes to the winner, how about? I don't know. We'll see. 803-0550 to join us. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series against Edmonton 3-2. Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action right here at 8 with a 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan will step down at the end of his contract in 2026, and Brian Rolapp will be the new CEO. Rolapp previously served as the NFL's Chief Media and Business Officer. Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief as he pitched 1 inning, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he will likely see the mound once a week, and he will be the leadoff hitter for the days that he starts. The Bisons in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch is set for 6:45 at the 6:25 pregame over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My indication is that the Lightning are going to be one of the teams that are in the mix on the Peterka sweepstakes. So what that looks like, how they pull it off, I don't know what vets would be going back the other way. But if you're Buffalo and you want help now, maybe Tampa's one of those teams that can solve for that need for you.
How does it just keep getting more depressing? Frank Saravelli right there talking about the Lightning possibly as a suitor for J.J. Peterka, who we think maybe, this has been reported, is dissatisfied playing for the Sabres. So the Sabres might like him as well as anybody else, but also might feel like they probably should trade him because otherwise, well, he's just going to leave you. And here we go again. Paul Hamilton wrote at WGR550.com today on Peterka. And while mentioning Elliot Friedman's report that I just cited without naming him, and other facts in the situation, Paul wrote some of the transcript from Peterka at the locker cleanout and after the season, and basically is here to say Peterka didn't say anything that would lead you to believe he wanted out. Right. I appreciate that from Paul, of course. I mean, wouldn't that happen most of the time though? Like with Tuck gave you the I don't know which maybe is enough to worry.
It worried me, and I hope it's premature and erroneous for me to be worried about. It's the Sabres' history that has me spooked as much as anything within that. But I just thought it was pretty obvious he didn't want to put his name on anything that tied him. Like, oh, absolutely, I can't. Yeah, I'm eager. We've already talked. Whatever. He said he hadn't thought about it yet, and I find that hard to believe, but it could be right. Maybe he's a very much, the season's over. Now I start thinking about what's going to happen in the future. I don't know.
But more likely, he didn't want to really answer the question honestly.
Right. That's what I suspect. And, that again, I hope that's wrong, because losing him, feeling like you need to trade him would really, I think, be a low point in what has been just a decade plus of low points. But Turka, I appreciated Paul's effort today to kind of point that out. Byram's another one when the season ended that, didn't say get me out of here or anything, but it certainly did not sound like a guy eager to be a part of the solution, right? Just, we'll see how it goes. I'll leave that to my agent, all that sort of stuff. That to me can be code for just, I'm not putting my name on. I can't wait to sign a 7-year extension here.
Well, in that case, I'm grateful.
Yeah, same here.
I don't think the Sabres should sign him at all.
Right. In that case, I'm glad he doesn't want to be a part of the solution.
If that's true, right.
Right, if that ends up being right. The Peterka thing has been interesting to me all along. I think I have suspected all along here, the way Friedman is framing it now is, this has been the case. They've been standoffish about it, but now they realize that they might have to act, so they're considering it. I just feel like that's been the case all along. I don't think anything changed there. I think it's just getting closer to the time where you're going to do business. And so I think any idea 2 months ago that Peterka might not be eager to sign a long-term extension, I would suspect, my opinion, I don't have this cold or anything, but my opinion is that came from the Sabres. I think they would know already that there could be trouble there. And so we're kind of getting word out, it's a way to get it out there. Hey, call us, you could check in on us. Now it's time that you've got to really get something done. And it's oh, no, they're open to it now. I mean, I don't know. I just think if he doesn't want to commit to them, that they've been preparing to trade him this entire offseason is what I would suspect.
Maybe. What is the new strategy going to be? Basically, Scott Wheeler, I don't disagree with it, with the thinking, is recommending the Sabres draft a player that if he played for a different team, you would hate.
Yeah.
And sounds good to me. Who was the last Sabre that anybody hated because of their playing style?
Coletta.
Yeah. Ott. I mean, I don't
Barnaby,
know.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's not their brand.
Right.
So that's fine. That person, if they do it, will be 18. That's not something that's about to overnight.
No, it's not going to change the face. It's going to change your NHL team at all.
What is the brand or the strategy going to be? Because it's a bigger problem than just the lineup right now, I think, where you've got a really tough perception about the team that you're trying to change. And if some of your best players don't want to help you, that just makes it worse. That might, if Peterka gets traded or Alex Tuch moves on to a place where maybe there is a state income tax or it somehow drops below 50 degrees once in a while, what's that say about your previous, messaging that you're stuck because people don't want to play for your team, the losing plus the climate plus the taxes. I don't know. The Sabres have tried more than once to announce themselves as a destination. Hockey heaven. Want to be here. We're going to do this organically. You could be Jack Eichel, and we'll trade you if you're not committed. You could be Sam Reinhart. We'll trade you. We'll trade anybody. Well, that's not That's not a great message.
No.
Come play for us so we can dump you when you're ready. Just let us know when you're ready. I mean, you can't build a team like that. But, what are your options?
I think one that I didn't, we talked a little about this yesterday, and of course at other times have dipped our toes in the water, but it's coming close. You said, right, the draft is 10 days away. Like that is normally, well, I mean, it's a time when business can be done. I don't want to get too excited about it being some crazy swap meet because I feel like every time we do that, it ends up being pretty quiet and just team makeover doesn't come and the Sabres sign Connor Clifton and we're like, okay, when's opening night?
When's football?
But one idea for them here, like as much as it might be the time to maximize return on a player like Peterka if he doesn't want to commit long term, or maximize return on Tuck before he plays the last year of his contract and is set to become a UFA. It could be time to just sort of dig in and see the plan. There has to be multiple facets to this, but on those two guys, the Sabres do not have to do anything with either one of them right now. They don't have to. They could dig in, and if they have conversations with Tuck's people and they're open to it, great. If they're not, you don't have to move them. You can dig in. You have Peterka's rights. He's an RFA. There can be a bridge deal. I doubt he's going to hold out or go to Germany or something if he doesn't get what he wants here, which is apparently a trade to another organization, and hope that trading Bowen Byram and whatever else you can do gets you enough that it turns. And then you take another, like, you get yourself to a playoff contention spot with what else you add by keeping those guys here, and they become more open to staying as it starts to finally, like, oh, this is working. We can do this. We're going to, okay. And the market comes alive again, and the building is excited. And, like, all the things that come with a winning sort of hockey team, a playoff hockey team. And I might even suggest, out of desperation right now, that is what they do. Because I have a hard time believing they're going to get better trading Peterka. Or Tuck, for that matter. And so
much for guys who want to be here then.
Right.
Like, new plan.
Okay.
New plan is
right.
We don't care if you want to be here.
Right. You're here. And
good luck.
And hope that you can, again, change their minds. Right. Recruit them by winning. And I know how far-fetched this might sound right now, but it's just an idea, because I think if, like, a doomsday scenario presented itself and they felt like, oh, man, Tuck doesn't want to sign an extension with us. Peterka doesn't want to sign a long-range thing. He wants out. You're back to, like, how much longer is Dahlin going to stay quiet?
Right.
How much longer? Like, where are you? You could really end up in a position where you're backing all the way up again and starting over. And, like, who is going to have the stomach for that? Like, I would really start to worry about, I already am. I don't know how long this can sustain itself the way it is. So I might be really considering just digging in and saying, no, you're on the Buffalo Sabres, dude. And, like, it might burn me a year from now, but I gotta try. It's my best chance to be as good as I can be this year. So I don't know. That's not a great plan at all.
It might not be, but what is?
I don't know what else is. That's it exactly. Like, I don't like the alternative. I don't like the idea of trading Peterka. Tuck is more speculative based on how he sounded. I don't know what's happening there. But I feel like the Peterka thing is real, and I don't think you're getting better trading a guy that had 68 points last year. I just don't. He's so young still. Like, that's a player that is tracking towards should be a core piece for you.
Yeah, really, that's right. I mean, what does a team do with a player like that? They don't. I mean, you could trade for draft picks, but he's still young. You could trade for age, but that's tricky and maybe not even desirable at all. What you do with a player like this is you sign him. That's what happens, like he's young enough that you're trying to grow something. You'd want him to be a part of it. But if he doesn't, then you have a challenge on your hands. 803-0550 for your thoughts. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. We are back. We've been talking. We've just been sitting here. We didn't go anywhere. I went and got some water, I guess. We've just been sitting here. Did you have time to answer Joe's question about drafting? I don't know if he was just asking me.
I wrote him a long text. I didn't want you to hear my reply because I don't want you to steal my tactics.
A tree stump of a text I got.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay. Do you feel like you got what you needed without getting anything from Bulldog? I mean,
I think so.
Joe knows.
I think so.
He's not around that much, but he's around enough. He knows.
He wants to know when the best time to have a rookie draft is in the NFL offseason, like for fantasy. And I don't think you can ever have it be too late. You could have your rookie draft when people have their regular drafts right before the season starts if you want. But I think the best time for it is right after the NFL draft ends, even as soon as that Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. That's a great day for that. I've got, mine are all spread out. But at the FFPC, where I play most of my Dynasty, they all start, the Saturday morning, I guess it is, after the NFL draft, the week after. Gives you time to reorganize, the draft changes the order, the rankings, and that's pretty good. I wouldn't want to have it now. You can, but
I'm sooner the better as well.
Sooner the better. Mm-hmm. Sooner the better. I mean, you can have trades. Either way, not many people are trading right now. You have the rookie draft early. There's action there. If you have it late, there's action there. But in between, there's nothing going on right now. Dare I say it? That's heresy about the NFL.
Well, there's nothing going on right now, but you do have the information you would have gathered if you want to pay any attention to it from rounds of OTAs and minicamps. So you at least have that, right? Like, this guy's running with the ones.
Right. The Bills don't give you any of this. I mean, I don't mean give you. Like, there isn't any of this, really, is there, for the Bills? What's the biggest question about them that you would have in a fantasy context? Elijah Moore.
Right.
Like, is he something? Right? That's a question. That's not a big – that doesn't rank that high in terms of the whole league, I think.
No, but here it's – Is he – Are he and Curtis Samuel so similar that it's going to be a timeshare, or does one or the other even not make the team or something? I don't know. I think that matters, I think, to the average Bills fan, but Bills fans who are really into it. But around the league, I wouldn't think that's a topic of conversation much at all. Who's your fourth or fifth wide receiver?
Right. And with fantasy, like dynasty stuff, trades often involve future draft picks. So, you like your roster, you want to go for it. Wait until the season starts probably before selling your number one pick for somebody good. Wait until somebody gets to 0-3 or just like, I don't think there's really much need to do anything like that now, unless you get a steal, because, you might as well wait. Maybe you can do better. And you get a clearer idea of how everybody is and motives change. Do you want to bail on a season on June 17th? No. Even if you think you're probably bad, you don't want to just sort of dump it already. I don't know. I mean, that's relative. But I think waiting at this point to make a big trade or something is probably better.
And my favorite time to do dynasty rookie drafts is, hang on, let me check my notes again. Never.
Oh, man, that's so sad.
That's when I do mine. Never.
That's just out of line.
I've never participated in this activity.
And I've never ridden a motorcycle.
There you go.
I wouldn't say I would probably tell you that I think I'm probably missing out on maybe that or 100 other things that I've never done. I'm sure I could also think of things I've never done that I don't mind that I've never done. That it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Like this example for me.
Like, that's right.
Right. Yes.
Well, I am here to stick up for what I think is a great time. All right, time out here. I'm happy to. I'd talk about Elijah Moore. You don't have to ask me twice. I wonder if you or anyone has a gut feeling about him that you trust. I'll get into it. I want to lay it out a little bit with him. He is a tricky one. 803-0550 for your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series against Edmonton 3-2. Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action right here at 8 with a 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Carr and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For the first time in the postseason, the Indiana Pacers facing elimination after Oklahoma City's 120-109 victory in Game 5 of the NBA Final. Game 6 is set for Thursday night at 8:30 in Indiana. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan will step down the end of his contract in 2026. Brian Rolap will be the new CEO. Rolap previously served as the NFL's chief media and business officer. Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief as he pitched 1 inning, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he likely will see the mound once a week and will be the leadoff hitter for the days that he starts. The Bisons in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch is set for 6:45 with a 6:25 pregame over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
So I hung out with some second graders, and I played Connect 4 with a second grader who beat me. I feel like a second grader and an adult is a good matchup in Connect 4. I'm just saying that now, maybe because I lost to a kid who's 7.
It's Mike Schopp.
This kid, and I beat him one time, and then we played, and it wasn't like I was just sitting there all day staring at the board, right? I mean, there's no excuse, though. There's no excuse for losing to a 7-year-old at Connect 4.
And the Bulldog.
He had me 3 different ways at the end, and twice he missed the winning play.
Yeah.
And then a third time, he had another, 3 turns in a row, he had a winning play. And how bad a job is that for me? How bad a job is it in Connect 4?
You had 3 match points in Connect 4?
He had 3 match points.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
The second time, I'm like, I'm surprised you didn't see that. And I'm sort of giving it to him. And then I make my play, and they're like, oh, he's got another one. I didn't see that at all.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
There's a game for someone of any age.
Connect 4?
Yeah. You wouldn't enjoy a rookie draft, but would you enjoy a game of Connect 4 with your wife? Best out of 3 or something. Or does it have to be kids involved?
Enjoy. I don't enjoy.
Tolerate?
Yeah, I feel like playing Connect 4 would be fine.
It'd be short.
Be fine. But I don't know. Enjoy is a little strong.
The game has had some staying power. Like, you see it in an arcade form now, Connect 4.
Yeah, and you see it also like life size.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Giant. The arcade is
a giant board. Electronic board.
My kids are too old. I don't go to arcades. I haven't been to an arcade.
That's why with arcade form, because I don't know if there's actually a place. But Great Wolf Lodge has, that's an arcade, and they have they have had a giant Connect 4.
Right.
They might have a different name.
They don't have the trademark for Connect 4.
I don't know. I don't know that one, but
wall-mounted tic-tac-toe. Not exactly, but yeah.
It's fun. It's a top game. All right. Elijah Moore.
Top game?
It's a top game. It's a top what?
I don't need to push back on everything. You like it. You might like it more than me.
It's a top what? No, I'll think of an answer now. It's not top 10. It might be top 25. It's a wide receiver 2, 24. It's a game 2, level 2 game. How's that? It's a starter, but it's not an all-pro.
Works.
It's a starter.
We probably lost pieces
to get out of
really quickly after we first had it, and that was the end of it. I can still see it in the box on the stack, and just think, we lost shit, whatever. We don't have all this stuff.
You could just play it on paper, R and Y, red and yellow. You could play it on paper. 8 by 6, 8 by 8.
Did I move into the little house on the prairie? I'm going to play Connect 4 on paper? What are we talking about here?
Well, you lost your coins, so you could just deprive yourself, or you could make it work. Yeah. Cook up some oatmeal and some grits.
This is what I meant when I said, I think you like Connect Four more than me.
I guess I do.
Yeah.
So, speaking of wide receiver, Elijah Moore, do you have a gut instinct on him that you trust?
No.
The range of outcomes is pretty wide.
Yeah, I don't.
The bottom is he doesn't make the Bills.
Right.
The top is
he finally becomes the player so many analysts were dreaming of when he was drafted in the first place.
He could maybe be a star.
Yeah.
On this team. There's room.
Yeah. No, I don't, because I feel like I can see it. I can hear the case. I could make the case. There is an opportunity here. I think, unlike Palm, when you mention him and start thinking about having a conversation about him, I think it's interesting that I feel like we have been talking more. He comes up more often than Josh Palmer does. And I think that's because Josh Palmer is more sort of underwhelming. He played with a great quarterback. He had opportunity. The team was pretty good, and it never really blasted off. Like he had the 1 year with 60-something catches, and the other years are more modest than that, 40-ish or something. And you can't really make all the excuses you can make for Elijah Moore. The list of quarterbacks that he had thrown him the ball is pretty awful. And so how much should a receiver be able to reach his ceiling when he's got Zach Wilson and whomever, Mike White, whoever else, the Jets and Browns? I mean, it's not good. So you have that, whereas Palmer really doesn't. He had Justin Herbert the whole time. And, when everybody was healthy, he was third in the pecking order, rightly so, behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But even when those guys weren't there, it never really happened. So, Moore is more of a dream. Whereas Palmer, you're just, I don't know. I'm probably just sort of expecting 50 catches and 4 touchdowns from Palmer. And if I'm wrong about that, great. He smashes, because there is opportunity for him too here. If he's going to slide into really a number one type role, be on the field as much as any receiver for the Bills was on the field last year, and I think that's kind of how this is tracking, then maybe he can exceed that. But Moore is you shouldn't expect a lot because there really hasn't been that much, but there is a talented player in there that has not really changed, and maybe the Bills and /Allen/Brady can unlock that. And so do I trust that? It's so speculative that I can't really get to a place where I would want to say, oh, yeah, I can see him becoming someone who is pushing Shakir for the lead on the team in receptions, becomes their go-to guy or something. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of uphill for him to climb to get that playing time. With Moore, right. So I don't trust it, but I can get excited about him, but I don't trust it. If that makes sense.
Yep, that's right. That's fine.
You
wouldn't want to bet it.
I wouldn't. Depends on the odds.
Well,
without
odds.
I love losing bets. Yeah, I will.
You wouldn't want to bet on Elijah Moore catching 50 passes?
Yeah, no.
You wouldn't want to bet. You would want to bet on Palmer catching 50 passes?
I think that's the ceiling, I feel like.
I do too. I don't think I would bet either guy to catch 50 passes. Palmer's over 40 once. I think what you said most of it. What Palmer has is the fit. He was targeted by the Bills as a separator in free agency, whereas Moore was, I think, I'm not sure he was more of an afterthought because it was a different situation with him. He was going to get some sort of contract from the Browns, if someone else didn't move in and sign him. Same with Dobbins and the Chargers, but then Denver signed Dobbins. And so there was some, basically, the Browns were, if they didn't want Elijah Moore for themselves, they had it set up where they would probably get a comp pick if this happened. So they'll maybe get a comp pick for him, or they just have him at a low salary. But both, as it happens, both guys got away. So from their original teams or most recent teams. So Palmer, I think, has it. The Bills have a certain idea, a plan for him that may or may not be extensive. It may or may not be 50% of the snaps, but it's going to be third down. It's going to be, long yardage. Joshua Palmer, I think, is on the field. Mm-hmm. And Moore, while, they did spend to sign him, I feel like it's more of a tryout with him.
Yeah.
And that could be wrong. It could be wrong because maybe if you're trying to read, as I'm doing, the details, it could be wrong because of that point about the contract. Like, waiting was available to the Bills on this guy. They could have been outbid. It could have ended up signing with someone else, but maybe they were tracking it. Maybe they were in contact, if they were allowed to be, with his people. I think we want to do this, but it ended up being a longer process, or it was just a change of plans and then it went and signed him. I doubt it's that casual.
Yeah.
So
too.
I do think what Palmer has is the fit. What Moore has is maybe not as high on the pecking order, but I think what he has is he's the better player. He was the better prospect. They were in the same draft. They're both 25 now. They were in the 21 draft. Elijah Moore was one of the first picks of the second round, if not the first pick of the second round. That's what Coleman was, of course. He was a better prospect. Palmer was mid to late third, mid-third, which doesn't say everything, but Moore ran 4.35 at the combine.
Right.
He was more of a star coming into the draft, into the league. And the excuses are those quarterbacks and the teams, the offenses he played for. He had a couple of bigger games with Cleveland, one with Jameis Winston last year. I think the other was with Watson. He had a 100-yard game against the Ravens. So I kind of think that Moore has the greater upside.
Right. That's what I think too. But what is that? What does that amount to?
Are the Bills open to letting that be possible?
What kind of opportunity is there going to be? Samuel is making 3 times the money, twice maybe. It's close. So I think he and Moore. I shouldn't go too hard on connecting the two of them as being duplicates, but it's hard for me to see both of them being significant contributors.
Yeah.
It almost feels to me like if one of them is going to hit, it's going to be at the expense of the other. Playing time, targets, all of it. And so, we didn't get the full Samuel last year because he was compromised coming out of the summer and into the start of the season. And you started to see, if Moore's not here, I think we're probably talking about Curtis Samuel as much as anyone in that receiving group, maybe even probably more than Palmer.
But less than Coleman.
But sure, agreed. But they are both here now, and I'm having trouble finding my way to who is going to get. Are they going to just share snaps? Are each of them going to play 40% of the snaps or less or something? I just don't know what kind of opportunity there is going to be. That is what makes maybe the summer and practices and even preseason games somewhat interesting. I don't know how much. Hopefully, Allen doesn't play at all in the preseason, so throw that out. It's really practices, joint practices, who's on the field with whom. How often are they using Moore? Are Moore and Samuel ever out there together? Who are they in place of? What are the roles? It's so hard to know that sitting here now. Again, the commitment to Samuel financially is significantly bigger enough for me to point it out here. But it doesn't have to mean everything. It's not like he's making $15 million or something. It's half of that. but more is like 2.5 or something. So I don't know if they'll feel compelled to like make sure they max that out or something. Like that doesn't even hardly make sense. It's such a puzzle with those guys. Do they all want to play? Do the Bills want them all to play in the slot? Who's on the outside? I feel like Coleman and Palmer are your reliable outside receivers. Everybody else is just sort of, and Shakir's at the top of that pecking order. So what?
And that sounds so unappealing to me.
Where is there going to be space for these guys?
I mean, how does this team win again with that kind of wide receiver talent? How do they do it? Maybe they will. They just did it. They stuffed it in their critics' faces. Speaking of stuffing it in your face, did you see the highlights of Coleman and the basketball game, Hamlin's charity game?
I saw.
Did that not look completely ridiculous?
I saw a couple of clips.
I need to know more about sort of like what the vibes were, because the highlight reel on Coleman. So there's DeMar Hamlin's charity basketball event, and everybody's going to take that a different amount of seriously. This Coleman is just windmill dunking over and just it was like a skit or something.
It's like the kids playing with the mascots. Like the football highlights when you see the little kids on the field with the mascots and they're just like stiff arming the kids out of the way and just destroying the kids. A little bit of that looked like that to me. Like, is this even real?
I think you're allowed. I don't know. See, I'm just going to weigh in on it because I want to, but I don't have a feel for like what kind of serious this event was. From the highlights, from the Coleman highlights, it looks like everybody else is just really standing there. And he is just going off. I mean, it's threes. It's the dunk where you put it up off the backboard, go up and catch it and dunk it. It's, windmill, 360. It's like a highlight reel that you would send out to colleges or something if you were this prodigy. And I don't know, maybe other guys in this game were close enough to the same level where it was sort of warranted. But if not, it's really weird. Like, you talked about once playing in an event on the ice at the arena and Gilbert was on the ice. Yes. Or, think of like, Alex, you go to if there were such a thing, you go to, you buy a spot and a fantasy camp or something, and you're on the ice and Chris Drury shows up or something like that. I'm thinking like a younger, more recently retired we all know he would never show up at a Sabres thing. But the Sabres are tough to use for this then. But still, right. All the players that have left are still in the league winning cups. Anyway, somebody that's played, Coleman played for Izzo at Michigan State. He might have been good enough to like get drafted. I don't know what his prospects were as a basketball player, but he was on Michigan State. He shows up at your event, and you're on the court because you're DeMar Hamlin's cousin or something. Mm-hmm. Do you like it? Are you amused by this performance? Are you pissed? Like, what are you?
I don't think you're pissed. I think if you're at a charity event and there's a guy that can do those things, that's where you do them. Like, there are people there. It's all raising money. I think you're just putting on a show. So I wouldn't at all expect that the people he was playing against. I don't know this, but I would guess that they're just like, wow, this is cool. Like he can do this. We're giving the people that are trying to raise money a show. I think that's how I would like to think it was perceived. I would be surprised if it were perceived as, why is this guy playing like it's the NBA Finals?
I don't know. I think I would be more annoyed. Like, okay, we get it.
You're good.
Do you need to score 60 points in a charity basketball game? Do teams even score 100 points?
Right.
He's going off for 60. Maybe nobody's in his way.
Maybe pass the ball.
Maybe pass. Maybe he did. That wouldn't be in the highlights, right? Maybe he did. But there are only a couple. It's like 12 or 15 different baskets he makes in this montage that I saw. Only a couple is anybody even guarding him. There's one where he's at the top of the key, and there's a guy.
And he throws the ball around him and runs around him and grabs it and dunks.
Yep.
Right.
Like, all right, we get it. I want to think that there would have been players in that thing that were like really upset. Okay. Let's just have a good time here. Yes, you don't have to do all of this. You don't have to show us every trick in the in the bag. But maybe I'm wrong.
I didn't come out here to get shown up. I don't know. I didn't think that. But the only thought I had about it that I guess would be considered negative was 60 points.
60 points.
Like how often you're that good? Maybe you shouldn't be shooting all the time.
Well,
in a charity game,
that's kind of what I'm saying is just spread the wealth a little bit.
Yeah.
Or did they? If somebody's keeping individual point totals, somebody's keeping a team score. I guess. Like I've been to a couple of those where there's no score is really being kept. I think it's just up and down the floor.
I wonder how much. How did they realize he scored 60?
But do they have his assists and rebounds?
Right.
And
was somebody writing that down? Was it the scorers table? Yeah.
That's right. Was it a serious enough game, or because you're keeping individual players' scores? You come up, you play in a charity basketball game. You come off the court, and maybe like your kids ask you, "How many points did you score?" You don't know.
Right. Like I made a couple of baskets.
Some. I don't know. Nobody knows that answer.
If it gets to the level where I scored 60, which would never have ever had a chance in hell of happening, then I wouldn't know. If I made 2, I would know I made 2 baskets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If it's small enough.
Right. Like, how'd you do? I made 2 baskets.
Right.
Golf clap.
Yeah,
right?
I made a couple shots.
Right.
That's it.
Which I think is what happened the last time I played any sort of charity basketball.
I guess I want to know who was the second best player on the court. How many did they score? Was this game close? Or did it just become like a ridiculous Keon Coleman show where everybody is like, at first you're just like, wow. And then by five or six baskets, you're like, okay.
We did it.
All right.
You're good.
All right already. Could somebody else do something? What was the level, how far down was the next level down from Coleman? Can anybody tell me that? Brad is on WGR. Hi, Brad.
So not the reason I called, but I'm 5'9", and if I could dunk a basketball, I would do it as often as I brush my teeth, like 3 times a day, 4 times a day. I'd just go outside when I'm bored, and I would just do it as often as I could. So,
I think in a game like that, you would do it once or twice so you can show that you can do it, and the place would be like really impressed. And then, you would give it a rest. That's what I think you would do.
That's fair. It's a dream of mine, and I still think I'm 38. I still think it's going to happen one day.
Anyway. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Just stay with it. I could dunk in high school. It's been a long time, and I can't even imagine trying to jump that high anymore.
Well, yeah, don't give up either then.
That's right.
So the reason I called is I guess we have to wait to see the depth chart and all that, and I am hopeful that Elijah Moore and Palmer are going to be kind of, what we hoped that Samuel would have been all of last year. Maybe even, obviously pie in the sky, what Shakir has become, like just this, like a dynamic, whether it's slot or outside, whatever it is. But what I guess I don't understand is and we don't know what they offered Cook, but for the $10 million-ish that we're paying a potential wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 combo, we could just be paying a proven starter who had an incredible year last year and kind of not had any sort of this, and obviously it's quelled quite a bit from Cook attending the workouts. But anyways, $10 million, $11 million, that's not nothing. And to be paying that for a potential wide receiver 4 or 5 or people that we might even cut seems a little strange from like a resource allocation.
I agree. I will see what happens with Cook. Even without Cook in the equation, I just think it's not loading up. They have spent pretty good at receiver on guys that haven't always sort of played like they deserved it. And that's Palmer for me. And no, it's not record-breaking money, but Samuel and Palmer to name 2. And then if you want Coleman because of the draft capital, I'm not criticizing the Bills for drafting a receiver there as they did, still, that has added up to a pretty significant amount. Kincaid in this pile too. And what do they really have?
Well, that's a good question. To the caller's point about the money, average receivers cost more than great running backs. That's because they're more that receivers are more. You're trying to take as many shots at receiver as you can. because you need more of them. More of them play for you than running backs play, and they're just worth more. It's just the way it is. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to go cheap at receiver so I can pay my running back. That would be, I think, doing it backwards. So I recognize like the point is sound. They are spending. I mean, holy cow! Between Palmer and Samuel, forget about Moore because that's very modest, but that's $20 million for those two dudes. And Samuel, we'll see. Like how much. That's where what we're talking about here is how much does Moore, if at all, sort of cut into him. Are one or the other at the they're at the expense of one another. Probably, I think if one of them gets going, the other one is probably going to suffer.
Thank you, Brad. 803-0550 to weigh in. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Most pro sports teams have a secret for delivering fast relief to their team members. That same technology now is available to you through QC Kinetics, called shockwave therapy. Instead of 4 to 5 months of tissue repair, now it's in the span of only a few treatments. Available and possible with QC Kinetics, this powerful tool. Results have been great. Patients say
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series against Edmonton 3-2, and Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action right here at 8 with a 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan will step down at the end of his contract in 2026, and Brian Rolapp will be the new CEO. Rolapp previously served as the NFL's Chief Media and Business Officer. And Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief, as he pitched one inning, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he will likely see the mound at least once a week and will be the leadoff hitter for the days that he starts. The Bison's in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch set for 6:45 with 6:25 pregame over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I just know what I can do. You know, at the end of the day, you got to believe in yourself. The world already is moving at a way to where people are scared to take risks, but it's not a risk. I know what I believe in. I lean on my faith. I lean on God. God is real to me. So at the end of the day, I lean on him. You know, I trust. I know what I can do. I work my ass off every single off season. I work my ass off every single season. And I just know that I'm the type of player that's going to show it.
That is Elijah Moore. And Bills fans, needless to say, are hoping that he has the quarterback of his dreams and all that hard work pays off.
He sounds pretty serious there.
He does sound pretty serious. I guess you could say it's getting pretty serious. Haven't seen that movie in a while.
You could. What is that even from?
I think it's Napoleon. Isn't it Napoleon Dynamite?
I don't know. I've only seen that movie like once.
I think it's
all the way through.
I think it's a Kip line. Is Kip right? Is the brother or friend or whatever he lived? It's been too long.
Yeah.
She's coming around. I guess you could say it's getting pretty serious.
Yeah.
I think that
is
movie. Yeah. That movie is so good. It's always Uncle Rico. The only time I ever see references to that movie is Uncle Rico, who is like
throw it over the mountains. I know.
He's the lamest character in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like just the one thing. Uncle, he's kind of he's a tool. He's supposed to be a tool.
Right. But if you see somebody you're driving around with your kids, my kids have seen the movie. I think they liked it. I don't remember. We haven't all sat and watched it together. You see somebody driving a van like that, Uncle Rico. You make a reference to somebody who has a big arm and you throw any object really far, Uncle Rico. Like those.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. The rest of it, I don't know. I don't have a lot of opportunity to make tetherball jokes, I guess. Right? Like
Vote for Pedro is great.
I just don't have that opportunity.
The girls are great. Pedro is great. The big jock guy is great. Who I can picture his one face when sometimes he gets when the crowd all stands up and cheers for Pedro, and they show the one kid his face like, oh, he's so upset. Talking to John Heder at the Super Bowl the one year, the star of the movie. If he didn't write it, he might have even written the movie. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I asked him what his favorite or the funniest part of the movie was to him, and he said something about a scene where I should watch this again, where the big guy I just mentioned is like trying to steal a bike, maybe.
Yeah.
And Napoleon or someone else whose bike is being stolen offers him chips instead. Like, will you take chips instead?
I remember him saying that.
What if I gave you chips? Can I keep the bike? I love that movie.
I remember him saying that. I remember liking the jacket he was wearing.
Okay.
I don't remember a lot of stuff, but like for some reason you say his name, and I remember sitting there with him, and I remember thinking like, actors have cool jackets. Like I like this jacket. This is like $1,000 for that jacket. It was it was like a jean jacket type of jacket, but like nicer.
What happened to him?
I don't know where. I have
to find out. Yeah, that's fun to think about. I guess you could say it's getting pretty serious.
He's a one-timer.
He is a one-timer. He's been on the show one time.
Weirdly, we've not had a second opportunity to interview John Hader.
Maybe that's easier than we think.
Right? Maybe we
Maybe he calls in. I don't know. Maybe it's easier than we think.
Hey, remember us? You probably did 6,000 interviews during Super Bowl week. We were one of them. Want to come on our show again?
He did. Not only did he answer that question about his favorite part, but he did like it. He liked the question. Like, he sort of laughed about it and thought about it and gave an answer. I remember liking the interview, which that does not always happen.
No.
Especially at Super Bowls, it did not always happen. Oh, thank God that's over. He hated this. He hated being here.
I gotta go on with Buffalo now?
That Hasselbeck hated us, I think.
Yeah.
Because one of us made a reference to his celebrity wife.
Oh.
And he sort of rolled his eyes and like, oh, of course you'd mention that or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all.
Tim Hasselbeck.
Yeah.
I think he was sick of people doing that.
Yeah. No.
We were a cliche to him.
I'll own that. I don't remember it, but I'll own it. I definitely could see it happening. I have no trouble believing I would have asked a question that would have been cliche and displeased someone who I didn't know probably we were interviewing until 5 minutes before he sat down. Because that's how those things.
It's not like it's so bad.
Right.
You don't know how the person's going to react to it.
Right.
I think he was just annoyed.
Yeah.
Maybe he's easily annoyed. I don't know.
Maybe it was the 15th time in the last hour he was asked that question.
Yeah. Maybe I'm too sensitive. I don't know. Could be both. Rich is with us. Hello, Rich.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I got a coin from the first preseason game at Rich Stadium against Washington Redskins. I went to that game. They handed out coins, so we just hung on to it for all this time.
How large? Okay. How large is the coin? Is it like the size of a silver dollar or?
Yeah, the silver dollar. It was the size of a silver dollar. It was gold.
Yeah.
Why do you have occasion to bring it up? Why are you calling about it?
Well, you would looking for what you call collectibles or something or like that. Maybe you called the wrong thing. I thought that you guys were talking about it on this show.
No, not today.
No, yeah. I mean, it has come up from time to time, but not regularly, and definitely not in the last 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
But called the wrong station. Then talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, man. Yeah. Good luck with that coin.
I think it's a compliment. Because it's sports, and he thought it must have been us that he was listening to, right?
Yeah.
We're on the right side of that.
All right.
I want to say.
See, now I want to pretend that I'm annoyed like Tim Hasselbeck was, that the guy called the wrong.
No, I think.
Don't you know who I am?
I think it's a compliment.
Yeah. No, fine.
It must have been us.
Had you ever heard that?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'd never heard about that.
I believe it. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it too.
Maybe I used to know this.
I'd never heard that they did that. So.
Do you have anything like in the? Do I want to even ask you this? Is somebody else talking about this? Do you have anything in that realm that you covet?
From the stadium?
I'm just asking you.
Me?
Like, I don't have that net anymore as far as I know.
You don't?
I don't know where it is. The field goal net?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
I found some old tickets recently.
Yeah.
Can you picture the Bills ticket with the white helmet on it? Like maybe a light blue background?
Yes.
Or maybe that was different based on where the seat was?
It might be, yeah.
Or just based on the game, maybe?
I have...
Like a season ticket.
I have what I don't think was a season ticket. It might have been. I don't know. I never had season tickets except for 1 year that I got them and gave them away many years ago now. But I have a stub that... My wife, like at some point in the attic, she found a way to display a few different little things that she must have found in scrapbooks of mine, and one of them was a ticket from the Miami Bills game in '95, the David White game, as we call it.
The David White
show
game
that I was there for. It's like my '90s Bills good game that I was at was not even in the Super Bowl years. It's '95, and that stub is a white ticket. With the Bills helmet isn't on it. I think it's just the opponent's helmet is there.
Okay.
And the ticket itself is white, and the Miami helmet's white with the the logo and everything. But I don't think the Bills helmet is on it the way it was torn. The ticket I have.
All right. Well,
anyway. But no, I don't have.
I did not go to that game.
I don't have any. That's it. Like I have that. I do not have. Boy, I don't think I do. I should check. I guess I could. I was at an age where I would have been saving things like that. The game I went to in the first year of the stadium, the Bengals game, I might still have a stub for that somewhere. I know I have a scrapbook with pictures and box scores and stuff from then, none of which is really that useful because you can find that stuff online as easily as you want. Not necessarily the pictures that were from the Courier Express or whatever, but I wonder if I still have that stub from that Bengal game. I don't know, but that's it. I didn't go to the stadium a ton in the great years. I was always working at the pizza place, so I don't have much really at all. That net is like
that's how I am.
Oh.
I just don't take care of stuff. Like I like the idea of having things.
Yeah,
but a lot of it. It's pretty much my life. It's just sort of maybe it's in a box somewhere.
Clinched the division in '88.
Yeah.
Fandemonium. Yeah. Like the famous photo. Mike's in the crowd, and you've got a piece of the field goal. Now.
I'm on the field.
Yeah.
And I wrestled it away from another guy, or it tore. Yeah. Maybe we both got pieces of it. It was a huge piece of the net.
Yeah.
How could you lose it?
Yeah, that's a good. I want to be hard on you about this. That seems like something. It's come up often enough through the years on the show that it's something I feel like you should have hung on to.
Maybe I have. It's probably some sort of a window into me that I would want it, but not really take care of it.
Right. You would like having it, but not care for it at all.
Just not do anything. Right. Yeah. Just like talking about it.
Right. Right.
It's not so much of a display piece like certain other things would be. I like certain of much of my collection, and you can display it. And not a ticket stub, not a field goal net. Right. It has its limitations in that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. We'll be right back. This is WGR. Sad news. I'm seeing on Twitter that Anne Burrell has died. She was one of the most recognizable celebrity chefs. Went to Canisius College. I know people that knew her, but I never knew her. But she was still like prominent on shows, and you remember her face if you don't really know the TV chef world. You'd remember her spiky blonde hair and her face. Always had like a big personality. So nothing. I'm reading an obit from People magazine that Greg Wyshynski quote tweeted. He's a big TV chef show guy.
Big foodie, yeah.
And I'm shocked, didn't know anything really about her life, but she went to Canisius College and must have, a lot of friends around here, I would think. So sorry to have to report that. What? Mike Lezakowski coming up at 6. 11-day power play opens tomorrow. We'll preview that. We always do. It's such a great event, and Bulldog knows Mike very well. I know him a little bit. So tomorrow's a special day for him, for them, the whole organization, Harbor Center, opening ceremonies and everything. That's coming up.
Right, and they'll be playing through the end of June. Starts tomorrow, runs, 11 days. Get it? June 29th is when. And so, the opening and the close get a lot of attention. There are ceremonies and all that. But I know from having been just, a spectator at different times, we've done our show there, and we'll do that again next week. I think on Thursday is the day we'll be down there for it when the WGR team plays. But the players will be playing around the clock for these 11 days, and they love it if people just pop in at 2 a.m. It's just the building's open. You can get there, and so it's always very well supported, obviously financially and otherwise. There's always a good amount of people, but I think the overnights can be tough. Of course, it makes sense. So you have a mind at any point starting tomorrow through the end of June, just about here. Pop in and spend an hour or longer. But
you've played in it. Your son played in it. My daughter played in it last year.
We played in it the first year they did the community shift. Like the first year was the 40 player, the original 40 they call them. And then the second year the community shift was born. And Owen and I, it's the only time we ever, other than when he was a really little kid. Once he got pretty good, I was done coaching. And so I hadn't been on the ice with him since he was like 10 maybe or 12. So that was fun to get to play with him. And it's the last time I've had skates on.
Is it?
Yeah.
Didn't realize that.
Well, I made the mistake of seeing what it looked like and just thought I need to stop doing this. This isn't
not even just
not good
for fun.
Yeah. No.
You wouldn't still enjoy it.
No, not
really?
not knowing how. No. No.
You're in better shape now than maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But my knees aren't.
Okay.
I just can't get around. So anyway, but Owen's playing. Owen started, he stopped playing competitive hockey in December of 21, came home, the gear went in the basement, and I'm not kidding you, it had not moved until this spring.
Mm-hmm.
He signed up to do this and has had, I don't know how many times, he's on the ice constantly coaching, but as far as like putting the gear on, this spring was the first time he did it.
Cool.
And he'll be playing next Thursday when we're doing our show.
Very cool. This sounds like your skating, hockey/skating is my skiing.
No.
Because I skied, I wasn't like always on the slopes, but I skied a number of times, early 20s, high school, early 20s, and then didn't for a long time. And when kids came along, we decided like maybe this would be a family sport.
Yeah.
And my first day back trying to ski, I was so unsure of myself upright that I just would go down. Like I just did not want to get speed up.
Yeah.
I did not trust myself at all. And like, I'm never doing this.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
If I had a different mindset about it, and I wasn't worried about just getting a little too well over my skis, and here comes a tree. Maybe I could have powered through that, but I didn't have the spirit to it.
I have had the thought. You are right. I was probably the heaviest I've ever been in my life when we played, when I participated in that. And that certainly was a factor. Also a factor was that I hadn't been on the ice in like 5 years at that point, and I skated twice to get ready for the thing and then did it. I loved being a part of it. I mean, I really did. I just could not get over what it looked like in reality versus what it felt like in my head. Because in my head, I was still moving around the ice like I would have been 20 years ago. And the reality was I looked like someone who had never played, is how it looked to me. And I don't know. I'm not the most prideful person, but I just thought, I don't want people to see me do that again, ever. I just don't. But when I work out on a bike in my basement, my gear, some of Owen's is mixed in now, although he's moved it around because he's using it again now for this event. But my gear is right in front of me. Like, it's in a bag, but it's there. And I occasionally, while I'm huffing and puffing, riding the bike, will think, I should try again. Maybe it's better. And I just don't. I never get anywhere. But this event would be the reason to do it.
That's the 11-day power play. We'll talk more about it after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Florida as the Panthers have a chance to win it all. They lead the series against Edmonton 3-2. Stuart Skinner will be starting in net for the Oilers after being pulled from Games 3 and 4. All of the action will be right here at 8 with a 7:30 pregame on WGR Sports Radio 550. Coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For the first time this postseason, the Indiana Pacers are facing elimination after Oklahoma City's 120-109 victory in Game 5 of the NBA Final last night. Game 6 is set for Thursday night at 8:30 in Indiana. Shohei Ohtani's return to the mound was brief as he pitched one inning, giving up 2 hits and 1 earned run while facing 5 batters. MLB.com's Sonia Chen reports that he will likely see the mound once a week, and he will be the leadoff hitter for the days that he does start. The Bisons are in action tonight, beginning their series in Worcester against the Red Sox. First pitch is set for 6:45 with a 6:25 pregame over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Joe Cali for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Schopp and the Bulldog.
I have a leg injury and a foot injury right now.
A leg and a foot. Are they on the same
side of my body?
Side of your body?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Left.
What happened to you?
I got stung by a bee. And then I think I got stung by another bee.
Oh, come on.
I think I did.
When did this happen?
Last night.
Last night?
Last night. Who knew?
It's Mike Schopp.
Just never thought about getting stung by a bee at night. I don't know. But there would still be bees at night.
I guess.
Not to sound like the flat earth thing. The bees just don't disappear when it gets dark.
Okay, but I've never seen one at night.
Well, it's dark.
And the Bulldog.
Maybe they would not be out at night, but you disturbed it, so it came out and said, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, they weren't expecting me.
I'm in here trying to watch the Vietnam War on PBS, right. And you're what are you doing sitting down in the chair? This is my time.
You are not supposed to. Right. This is our time.
Right.
That's what the bee said.
Right. So
on behalf of the other bees.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
We are back, and so is the 11-day power play. It is that time of year with the opening celebration, as it's called, is tomorrow right at this time, 24 hours minus a few minutes. The man behind it again always has been the founder, Mike Lesikowski, with us on the West Her Hotline. Lots of questions, Mike. Let's start with the basic. Are you ready for this finally to be here? When it's the day before, are you more like excited, like you can't wait, you're so happy that it's arrived and you're so ready to go, or is it a different feeling?
It's awesome. Every year it's awesome. I mean, I think you guys know just as well from our past interviews, Amy and Sarah and Nate are the driving force. They do all the day-to-day stuff, so they really deserve the credit on the logistics and the day-to-day, but it's super exciting. Once again, huge, biggest ever, most players ever. We're over, well over $1.2 million already, so it's awesome. Can't wait.
And how many games will you be taking part in yourself? Usually that's, I don't know, does it get to the double digits with this community shift? What do you got on tap for yourself?
No, I scaled back a little bit. I tell people I try to play every day. That might not quite happen, but I probably play in 9 or 10 shifts, which is great because they're all different people, different people that I know from different walks. WGR, I'll be playing with Owen, which is really sweet. I'll be playing with Derek Kramer, which is fun.
That's a word for it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it won't be boring.
No.
And a bunch of others, like my company and my kids, and it's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's really great because I know just from the one experience that I had when I got to play with my son Owen the first year of the community shift, so I guess that would have been 2018 if I've got the years right, that summer, just experiencing like being on the ice, being a part of it, and feeling the love. So you get that from, again, these 9 or 10 different games that you are a part of. And everyone's experience, while it's very similar, very specifically, there would be different experiences. And that's a really cool opportunity to be able to sort of feel all of that.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing is sometimes it gets lost because we have a lot of fun. It's hockey. But there are people that play for pretty personal reasons. Maybe they lost a loved one, maybe someone going through something at the moment, and sometimes it gets emotional, myself included. So that doesn't get lost on us. We don't lose our perspective because even though we have a lot of fun, we play hockey, we're also doing it for some really important causes and in support of loved ones. So that's never lost on us.
I know I have told you this before, but that one experience that I had, I've had, an aunt and other family members go through it and lose lives. And I felt that emotion almost the entire time we were there. Participating. So, I mean, it is front and center. I mean, I think it would be hard for people to lose focus of that because it's just ever present. The signs all over the glass and the people there cheering all the different players on. It is a very emotional event, even though it runs for as long as it does.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons that people kind of keep coming back and enjoy it, because it's not just, show up, play hockey, leave. It really has a little bit more of a meaning, and I think that really keeps, it keeps it fresh. It keeps people wanting to do it. They see the money. They see us in the community with Roswell and Make-A-Wish and Camp Good Days and O'Shea. They see us, in the community and see where the money goes. And we invite the players and the captains and the volunteers to join us in some of those events and some of those times that we get to hang out with Dr. Johnson, hang out with Make-A-Wish kids. Like, not everybody gets to do that, and we're afforded that opportunity, and we're afforded the opportunity to give a lot of money to some really important causes through hockey, of all things.
The 11-day power play begins tomorrow at about this time, 6 o'clock. Mike Lezakowski with us for a preview here on WGR. I've never asked you about your hockey helmet, but every year I go out there, I know which one is you immediately by your hockey helmet. The Jofa Wayne Gretzky helmet from when I was a kid. We were kids watching him just take over the league. What's the story?
No real story other than it's kind of cool. We don't have to follow exact rules about equipment and stuff. So the helmet's just fun. I got it. I have all kinds of stickers from loved ones, Owens Oilers, who's a friend of ours that's gone through cancer, and others. So it just it's part of the lore. It's part of my shtick during the event, and as you said, it's me, so that's kind of fun too.
That's right. And Bulldog, that helmet in Gretzky's day, he wasn't the only player wearing it, or what?
Oh, no. Curry wore the same helmet, I'm pretty sure, and Butch Goring, I think, he had had
the hole in his
Winwell, maybe.
Yeah. Even a crazier
similar
helmet.
look, but not a Jofa. But Curry, I'm pretty sure wore the same.
I'd like to see the Goring back with the two holes across the top. Bring the hair out. That could help. That could help things. So I think you said it. I mean, fundraising wise, you're already ahead of your past and closing in. Your goal is 1.5 or 1.7.
I think we stated at 1.7, and we're about a little bit ahead of where we were last year, and we got 1.6 and change. So we're going to get there. We always bring in a ton of money leading up to and during the event. So it'll be something north of 1.5 is my guess, which is it's amazing to think that I was talking to Alan Davis just the other day that the first year that we did it, we tried so hard and we got to $1 million. It was this amazing feeling. Oh my God, we just raised $1 million, and it's become commonplace. And I don't say that flippantly. It's just we look at each other and go, oh, we got to $1 million, and it's amazing to think that we can do it year in, year out because we have such great community support. It's really, we say it all the time, the city of Buffalo, the support that they give, it's second to none.
Yeah, it really is a testament to how people here want to dig in, and it says a lot about how much hockey matters here. Right? I mean, despite the struggles of the hometown team here the last 14 years, Mike, and the crowds that are, a byproduct of it in the arena a lot of times on game nights, this is still a very, hockey matters here in a way that, Minnesota, New England, Buffalo's right there as far as, I think, interest in the game, participation in the game at the rec level, minor, youth, whatever. It's it's a hockey market.
There's no doubt about it. I go all over the place. As you know, we have sons similar age, and my son's played around the country and in Canada, and we go to lots of different places. And, we've talked to other cities about doing events and things like that, and it's not as it's just not as ingrained into the community as is Buffalo. Of course, there are places like in Canada and other Northeast cities, but it's part of our fabric. And by the way, speaking of the Sabres, they're really great with us.
Yep.
They donate the ice with their partnership with Roswell. They have the alumni around. Rob Ray is going to be around. Stuff like that is really important, and it's great for. The event is made up of predominantly people that have not played organized hockey. So to come and hang out with Rob Ray, Mike Pekka, Pat Coletta, the Peters boys, it's great for them because it's players that they've grown up watching and they're professional players. So it makes it really cool. So we have to have thank you to the Sabres for being a good partner in that.
So this is going, the opening ceremony is tomorrow at 6. What time are players on the ice starting tomorrow? It's ahead of that, right?
Yeah, 9 a.m. and then they'll play all day. We used to start, it used to be the opening ceremony, but we have so many teams that want to play that we'd be turning down hundreds of players if we didn't do what we did.
Right.
So, hundreds of players is tens of thousands of dollars. So we're going to play throughout the day, and then the opening ceremony will be from 6 to 9. And then there's some really cool stuff. It'll be a great little family atmosphere.
Fill that out for us a little bit. What do we have? It's the top 60 fundraisers that get to take part in the game that'll be after the opening ceremonies. And does everybody get to get introduced? And I heard you talking. You mentioned Derek Kramer. I think I heard you on with him on Saturday. And the pyrotechnics. I did not know. What do we got going on here?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, we started that. We introduced the players. We got the fireworks going as they run out onto the ice. Again, we try to make that a very unique experience for the players. And the top fundraisers raise tens of thousands of dollars each. So we want to make it special. And to announce their name, we got Dan Dunleavy and Jixter and Alan Davis doing play-by-play. And so we try to make it a professional production and introduce the players. Top 60, two different teams, 15 on 15, 2 different games. And then we'll do a little break. I don't know if you guys know what Chuck-a-Puck is. It's always a fun little event. Yeah. You buy some foam pucks, and then you chuck them onto the ice, hoping to win a prize. Some Sabres intermission type stuff, just to keep it fun, keep it loose.
Very good.
I definitely know. I don't know if I ever told you that. I probably told you this. It's one of my favorite, my kid playing hockey in Texas moments. When he was in Albuquerque, I went to see him in Amarillo to play the Amarillo Bulls. And huge old building, like probably 6,000 or 7,000 capacity. It's, not even half full. But they had these foam pucks, and every time they scored, they threw them on the ice while the song Big Balls in Cowtown blasted over the speakers.
Oh, it's my parents' wedding song.
And Owen, he didn't have a great night, but he saved, he came out of that game. I was there. We were going to get to go out to dinner, and he walked out and just stuffed one of those pucks in here. He snagged one and hung onto it. Because they're throwing them at him, and the song is playing, and it's just like, wow, this is the worst thing ever. But it is also the night that the fans chanted his name derisively, and that's the only time I got to experience that. And that felt like an achievement level unlocked for a goalie dad to hear the crowd chanting, "Parker, Parker, you suck." That was pretty good.
It's original.
But I have that Chuck-a-Puck still on my dresser. I never got rid of it.
I think we can get that chant going in a few days here, Mike.
Yes, we got that. You guys will be there. Be there. Maybe you can start it.
It'll be up to us. You know it. You heard it, so you know how it's supposed to sound.
Right.
And we'll get the song, too.
Be there Thursday?
I don't think we need sheet music. Next Thursday we'll be there doing
Next
our
Thursday.
Show. Yeah. So.
All right, look forward to that.
Cool. I always enjoy coming up and talking to you a little bit. I'll be playing, as you know, but I'll catch up with you definitely.
Good.
Very good.
I hope so. All right.
Thanks, Mike. Enjoy. Yes?
Can I give one more shout out just to some of the sponsors real quick?
Please.
We have some major sponsors that I'd love to just give a shout out to. I'll just rifle through them. The presenting is Crawley Webb, Excelsior, Lamar, Moog, New Era, the Sabres and Roswell partnership, tops, uplifter. And then shout out to my business partners, Chris Boren and Tom Forbes at Rue Environmental Engineering for a very generous sponsor. So thanks for letting me do that. You guys are the best. We're over $12 million. We're over $1.2 million. Come down and cheer on the players as they embark on the next 11 days. Really appreciate it.
Except Owen. We will do that. Thank you again, Mike.
Right. Boo my kid if you can. If it's acceptable to boo anyone at a charity event, boo him. He's
the one guy you should get after.
All right, Mike. Good job as always, man.
Thank you, Mike.
Guys. Great to hear. Great talking to you.
See you soon. Mike Lesikowski, tomorrow at 6, the opening celebration for the 11-day power play. To get involved, 11daypowerplay.com with the number 11, not the word. Yesterday, a little bit earlier than this, I mentioned how Mike Breen was going to tie or break the record, Marv Albert's record for most national NBA telecasts. Tonight, again, thanks to unnecessary sports research for this, Chris Cuthbert moves into second place, U.S. and Canada, combined. 1,545 national telecasts of any of the 4 major sports. Hockey, generously here is included as one of the 4. No. So he is second all-time, passing Dick Stockton for second most. Man, Dick Stockton did do everything. The voice of the NBA, NBA Finals in his day for CBS. I don't know about hockey. I mean, 75 World Series, Carlton Fisk.
Yeah, he's
Dick Stockton. He was the Red Sox announcer.
Right.
But they used the local announcers, Marty Brenneman from the Reds on NBC. Football, of course. I mean, playoff games.
Yep.
And again, I don't know about hockey, but he's second. And Chris Cuthbert moves in. They were tied for second, before tonight. Chris Cuthbert moves in to second place. Who is first? 1,722 national sports telecasts of the 4 major sports in either the U.S. or Canada.
Is it Marv Albert?
He is fifth.
Bad guess. Well, not really. It's not bad.
It's not a bad guess. Kenny Albert is fourth.
Right. Yeah. They did earlier in the playoffs. He either. But wait, what order are they in? Where's
Kenny Albert is ahead of his dad.
Okay, he passed his dad. That's what they did on TNT one night. They had Marv was on in the pregame because he had passed his father. So who's first? Al Michaels.
Bob Cole.
Wow. More hockey games than football games.
You would think. Did he ever do another sport? I don't know.
Boy, I really don't. I don't know if there's like Olympic something in his background that I've never heard about, but I've only ever heard or seen him do hockey.
That wouldn't even count here.
Oh, right.
Either. It's just the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. It's got to be exclusively National Hockey League. Bob Cole. Every one, probably.
Yeah.
And when was he doing?
Right.
I mean, the Blue Jays? No, I can't remember hearing about him ever doing another sport on like a national broadcast.
Right.
But maybe.
Wow.
Bob Cole's number one. A lot of Canadian institutions in hockey broadcasts on this list. Scott Oak, Jim Hewson are both in the top 10.
All right.
Dick Irvin, also in the top 10. What is it? 5 out of 10 are.
Yeah, Canadian hockey announcers.
Yeah. Christine Simpson.
Oh, sure.
Who I think is on the broadcast now, tonight, with Chris Cuthbert. She's a part of that.
She's been a like sideline report, whatever. She's done interviews on that broadcast for years.
She moves into a tie for 11th tonight with Gary Thorne. Now I've got the whole list basically run down. Mike Breen, Joe Buck, Hubie Brown.
You're making me want to do. You're making me want to go home, grab my passport, and go to John Gale's house to watch this game with him and listen to that broadcast. Nothing against Kenny Albert. He does a very nice job. The TNT broadcast has really grown on me, but you can't beat that. The Cuthbert.
That's how I'm watching these games. It's the next day watching that's not CBC, it's Sportsnet, watching a Sportsnet montage.
He's tremendous. He, to me, was the voice of the late game on Hockey Night in Canada. It would be Bob Cole on a Saturday night from Toronto or Montreal, and then we're going out to Vancouver or Edmonton or Calgary, and here's Chris Cuthbert.
Right.
And just fantastic.
He also, this is when I talked to him, maybe the only time, he also did 01 Sabres Penguins.
Okay.
For CBC. He had that series for CBC with maybe Greg Millen.
He worked with Greg Millen a lot. The late Greg Millen.
The late Greg Millen, right. Yeah. That's Kasperitis. That series, Chris Cuthbert had those games, and I think I watched them somehow with his voice on it. I don't know. He could have watched
I don't know.
Empire.
Right.
I feel like I did, though.
In those days, we did get them both. So you could make a choice.
I went to all the home games, but the 3 games at the Igloo.
Yep. It is a thing I miss once the playoffs do get here, because during the season, you know, if it's Florida, Toronto, I'm going to go to ESPN Plus. I'm going to click on it. It's going to give me the choice, which broadcast I want.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I will choose Canada 100 times out of 100.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Speaking of hockey, earlier today, Scott Wheeler joined us from The Athletic. The NHL draft is in 10 days. We talked to him some about the finals, Game 6 in Florida tonight, but also the Sabres, and he was, good detail and insight on names and what the Sabres should be thinking in terms of the draft coming up, as I said, in just less than a couple of weeks. That conversation is next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Thanks for listening. This is WGR.